And a former Disney Channel star arrested in North Texas over a bag of chips. Police arrested Mitchel Musso, you see him here, in Rockwall over the weekend.
Adam Hicks, known for appearing at several Disney shows over the years, now facing armed robbery charges. 4 robberies called in over the span of an hour.
Once upon a time, Disney Channel was hoping that a little new series could change its image. Unfortunately for them, it did. What happens when a show rocked by scandal is forced to completely break its own lore by firing and replacing its main character? Strap in, because you're about to find out. In the 2000s, the Walt Disney Company had cornered the market on family entertainment, and Disney Channel was a heavy-hitting competitor in the world of children's television. While their approach to multicam sitcoms wasn't unique, their well-oiled child actor to pop star pipeline gave them a massive edge. But the success of their business model proved to be a double-edged sword, because they had a problem. Disney Channel was largely unable to draw in male viewers, as boys came to see the network, its shows, and its stars as being for girls and for babies. The boys on the playground crossed their arms and declared that singing and dancing were not suitable for men, so they tuned into Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network instead. Disney was not willing to sit by and let an entire demographic get violently impaled by their proverbial unwanted edge of their aforementioned sword. And they set in motion a plan to win that demographic back. Disney XD.
All right.
Premiering on February 13th, 2009, Disney XD was a sister channel to the Disney Channel. Or should I say, a brother channel. The most masculine, testosterone-fueled channel in the history of broadcast. We're talking skateboards, giant robots, and toilet humor all the time.
Do girls ever fart?
Disney XD was intended to be the equivalent of a no girls allowed sign on a bedroom door. But it wasn't just stuffed with things that focus group tested well with the boys market, but it was a little bit older skewing as well, and its shows had more of an emphasis on serialized storylines, starring men. In 2009, Disney XD greenlit a pilot following 2 teenage troublemakers who discover they're co-kings of the island nation of King Cow. That pilot would be greenlit as a series to air in 2010. Following the kings as they get into all kinds of mischief and chaos while ruling from their castle. This show is likely best remembered for the abrupt firing of star Mitchel Musso after his arrest for driving under the influence, leading to an incredibly awkward replacement that directly contradicts all of the lore established in the multiple previous seasons. Ever since I made my Lab Rats video 3 years ago now, one of the most consistently requested series to make a retrospective on has been Pair of Kings. And after it won the Patreon poll at the end of last year, it's finally time to revisit all 3 seasons. This is the rise and fall of Pair of Kings. Pair of Kings launched a 21-episode first season on September 10th, 2010. The show opens with a 2-parter called Return of the Kings, in which twin brothers Boomer and Brady are massive nerds/losers who get picked on by their PE coach, their grown-ass adult bully Rondo, and various disinterested women. It's in this scene that we get the sole and only acknowledgement of the series of their diverging skin tones. The reason being their mother was black, while their father was white. After hanging Boomer and Brady from a locker, Rondo gets chased off by the arrival of powerful King Cowan warriors, who declare that it's time to bring home the Kings of Legend.
Man, even the drama kids are beating us up now.
We learn that Boomer and Brady's parents were formerly the king and queen of King Cow, and since they passed away with the knowledge of which twin was born first, it's been decided that the brothers will co-rule their island. And spoiler alert, we will eventually learn more about which was born first and about the death of their parents, because this is a show with lore. But not just any lore that is constantly retconned, and lore that blatantly contradicts itself. The best kind. Uncle Ben and Aunt May, those aren't their names, but that's who they are, reveal they've known all along, and they've just been keeping Boomer and Brady safe in Chicago until they were old enough to rule King Cow. Mason is an old friend of the twins' father, and he'll be acting as their royal advisor. The group travels to King Cow via hot air balloon, but it accidentally descends to the dangerous and treacherous dark side of the island, where they're attacked by a Waka Waka bug. At this point in 2010, the Muppets hadn't been rebooted yet, so I can only assume the writers thought of Waka Waka as an obscure 80s reference they could get away with making without their child audience catching on. I'm going to call this bug Waspinator going forward. Mason uses his combat prowess to fend it off in a display so badass that the actor's name gets displayed over it in the theme song. The twins make their way to their castle on the light side, and after they wrestle over who gets to sit in their singular throne, Brady is awestruck by an approaching woman. This is Mason's daughter, Michaela, who serves as the king's personal bodyguard.
It's an honor to meet you, my kings.
You're hot.
Up in their new bedroom, they also meet their cousin Lanny.
Check it out, Brady. We have a hobbit.
Lanny was supposed to be next in line for the throne and only recently discovered that he was snubbed from being king. I don't know why or how he spent his whole life under the impression that he was supposed to be the king when it seems like everyone else on the island was eagerly expecting Brady and Boomer to return. But nonetheless, he's wildly jealous of the new kings, as is his talking pet animatronic fish Yamakoshi.
An evil talking fish that will make you king if you keep coming with those fish flakes. That's the stuff.
While Laney creates a death trap that fails catastrophically, as will basically be his role in every episode, Michaela and Mason deliver exposition and introduce the following entities. The Royal Vault, which has all kinds of treasures. The Great Book, which tells of all the tales and legends of the island. Mount Spew, a dormant volcano which dictates how happy the island is. The ominous Bat Medallion, which could cast the island in 1,000 years of darkness if it falls in the wrong hands. And the Great Jiki Kiki, the jewel in her belly being the soul of the island and the only thing preventing terrible darkness from overtaking King Cow. All 5 of these prove pretty important as the show paves on. Now the time has come for the king's coronation.
Okay, we kept quiet when you made us smell your feet, but this is just wrong.
Upon being gifted an ATV called the King Cruiser, the twins immediately crash into Jiki Kiki and destroy the jewel. Mount Spew immediately begins erupting, and the island evolves into chaos, leaving us on an incredible cliffhanger going into part 2. Part 2. As the island evacuates, Boomer and Brady feel bad for failing their island within their first 5 minutes of ruling it. Following Yamakoshi's advice, Lanny sends the kings on a surefire suicide mission to find the sacred Sister Ruby on the island's dark side. They embark, but they're quickly ambushed by the show's main antagonists, the Tarantula People, an entire race who are genetically predisposed to be evil. There's no dimensionality, there's no backstory. The dark side is just where the evil races live. After being captured, the twins argue about which of them was born first. Brady claims to distinctly remember coming out first, and he thinks he should be the solo king.
You know what? No matter how many times you tell me that story, I can't remember it. And you wanna know why? I was a fetus!
Fortunately, Brady is able to mind control the warriors using the Bat Medallion, and has them lead him and Boomer to the ruby.
Sorry. I didn't know that they were actually attached to your chest.
They venture into a Raiders of the Lost Ark style booby trap cave and find the jewel, then almost accidentally shatter this one too, but it's okay, it's fine. Our B-plot sees Lanny inform King Cow that the kings are gone. No one questions him, no one looks for them. He takes up the mantle of king and immediately starts punishing everyone around him.
Dungeon, dungeon, moat. Dungeon, 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 tar pit. And now for the people I don't like.
Lanny's our king. We must listen to him. Vancouver's beautiful. We'll sneak out at dawn.
But when Boomer and Brady arrive with the sister jewel, Jiki Kiki is restored, Mount Spew stops erupting, and the entire island is saved. The twins make up and celebrate. Lanny gets spit on by his fish for failing, while Michaela and her dad think the new kings are gonna do just fine. Only there's one issue. Brady accidentally left the bat medallion in the cave. When he tripped, the necklace was on. When he stood up, the necklace was off. Very clever, Disney XD. And now the tarantula people have used it to revive a dangerous and powerful mummy, a plot point which, believe it or not, will remain relevant all the way until the series finale. With that dramatic cliffhanger, our 2-part pilot comes to a close.
This is your castle.
Dude, goosebumps are back.
These twin brothers
It's an honor to meet you, my king.
have found paradise.
This is your room.
The King Cruiser.
The royal vault.
And paradise has found trouble.
I demand you release us at once.
I now demand that you tie us back to those boards.
Mitchel Musso as King Brady.
Throw these royal muscles around.
Bam! Doc Shaw as King Boomer.
Hi.
I usually like my ladies to have
In
legs.
the newest Disney XD original series.
You're hot.
Don't touch my daughter.
This is my chance to become king. Kong. I always wanted to be a freakishly large ape.
There are a lot of evil creatures on the dark side.
Wear his pants!
These kings don't just rule. They break the rules. Pair of Kings. VIP preview next Friday at 9/8 Central on Disney Channel.
At this point in Disney Channel history, Mitchel Musso was coming off 3 seasons and 87 episodes of a starring role in Hannah Montana, as Miley's close personal friend, Oliver. The 3rd season's finale was designed to serve as a potential series finale called Miley Says Goodbye? In it, Oliver leaves Malibu to go on a tour with a band that he literally just met. It was still being decided if a 4th season would be greenlit. Meanwhile, Doc Shaw was coming off multiple seasons of a starring role in Tyler Perry's House of Pain. He had recently joined the Sweet Life on Deck's main cast as Zach's roommate Marcus Little, a washed-up child rapper. Both Musso and Shaw signed on to Pair of Kings, leading to Marcus very abruptly leaving the Sweet Life on Deck after 27 episodes. A random episode sees him develop a dental hygiene-themed musical for some reason. In the last 3 minutes, he gets a call that Broadway wants his show, and then off he goes, never to be mentioned or seen again.
Slippers don't take off themselves. You shouldn't have to say it.
Likewise, Oliver was no longer in the main cast of the eventually greenlit 4th season of Hannah Montana, but he still got to make 2 appearances, including the series finale.
I got you, Mason. No, I don't. Good luck in there.
Ryan Ochoa played a recurring antagonist to Spencer and iCarly named Chuck, and he also showed up in an episode of Zeke and Luther as a love interest to the little sister character. Kelsey Chow, now using her middle name and going by Kelsey Asbill, I imagine to prevent casting producers from discovering her work on Pair of Kings, previously featured as one of Zach's single-episode love interests in the 3rd season of The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. And Gino Seegers had basically no acting credits at all before this, having only been in 1 episode of the police procedural White Collar. He casually dropped down from Olympus itself one day just to act on Disney XD in Pair of Kings, Zeke and Luther, and Fort Boyard Ultimate Challenge. When doing these retrospectives, I like getting cameos from any relevant members of the cast. Ryan Ochoa sent a 7-minute video, which is one of the longest I've ever received, and I'll be cutting back to it throughout this retrospective.
Kian. I think it's really cool that you're doing a retrospective on the show. I'm already excited to see what you create and what you come up with, because it's going to be really cool. I bet you have some other videos with the other actors. Well, being the biggest fan of Pair of Kings myself, you got to remember I was actually a teenager when I was filming the show. So the show, I truly believe, was for my, it was for my age demographic. In season 1, I loved the first episode, Return of the Kings. We filmed it as a 1-hour special to be released on Disney Channel. And then once it came out on the show, like, they would break it up into half-hour episodes. But on Disney Channel, when we premiered on September 10th, 2010, fun fact, it was actually released as a movie. So we're flying over the water. It was really cool. Like, the intro literally felt like a mini Pair of Kings movie.
Let's go from our 5 main actors to our 5 main characters. While every side character on the island has foreign names like Mahama, which is South African,
Muhammad, move a little to the left.
Hibachi, which is Japanese,
Hibachi go. Bye-bye.
or Farhad, which is Persian.
I am Farhad the Fierce.
Our 5 main characters all have English-speaking names of European origin, even the ones that were born and raised on King Cow their entire lives. Boomer and Brady are the co-leads. My first thought upon seeing Boomer's name was, okay, Boomer, but then I remembered that Boomer jokes were funny when I was in high school, literally 5 years ago, and that it wouldn't be funny if I said it today. I just found out recently that Among Us apparently isn't funny anymore. Why the hell did no one tell me? Boomer and Brady's personalities are, up front, my biggest issue with this series. That being, they're almost completely interchangeable. If you look at the series as a whole, they're both troublemakers, they're both cowards, they're both slackers.
Without grades, never would have happened.
They're both incredibly dumb.
Man, you're just like those haters who told Columbus he'd never make it to the moon.
But if you zoom into individual episodes, Boomer is often one thing and Brady is the other. For instance, in one episode, constant jokes will be made about how Brady smells bad.
I'm sure they'll barely notice your garbage breath.
The next symptom is elephant ear, not garbage breath.
If you say so.
But in the very next episode, constant jokes will be made about how Boomer always smells bad.
And what is this horrible smell on me?
Soap.
What has happened to me?
Some episodes depict Brady as the more mature twin. Some episodes depict Boomer as the more mature twin. Boomer and Brady also don't feel consistent from episode to episode. Sometimes they'll be portrayed as completely unathletic losers who don't know a thing about sports.
Dodgeball! My face still hurts from the last time we played.
And other times they'll be passionate sports fans who love competing.
Somebody set up a hoop. Brady, or should I say LeBron, give and go.
Beat me, Kobe.
Sometimes they'll be scrawny dorks.
Why aren't you bullying me?
I don't have any upper body strength.
Other times they'll be delusionally proud of their muscles.
Boom!
Their characters completely change in accordance with what gag the writers want to make. It feels like every individual writer's episode was tapping into their own childhood memories, despite all of them having completely different personalities as a child. Boomer and Brady aren't really characters. They're surface-level character archetypes of teenage boys. They genuinely aren't fleshed out into actual people with wants, needs, or desires in any meaningful way. Probably the worst thing working against them is that they're both inconsiderate assholes to everyone around them in a way that quickly becomes more grating than funny.
You have a royal trash man. Why don't you use it?
What are you talking about, Mason? We use him all the time.
The only distinguishing factor between the twins is that Brady has a crush on Michaela and Boomer is obsessed with Beyonce.
If I die, there's this girl back in America. Her name is Beyonce.
Beyonce proposes to you?
Oh, I knew she'd get my letters.
Hi, Beyonce.
Wow. Boomer's really gotten into your brain.
It's Beyonce. I'm here for a kiss.
Well, come inside, girls.
The Corey in the House Wikipedia page claimed that Corey was obsessed with Beyonce, despite Corey only mentioning her once. Which makes me wonder if that Wikipedia editor got Corey in the House and Pair of Kings confused. Across multiple full seasons, these characters are never defined and never feel distinct from each other. Contrast that with another set of Disney Channel twins, Zach and Cody. Zach was a slacker while Cody was a tryhard. Zach was brave while Cody was a coward. They were designed to be each other's opposites with an equal number of flaws, and those inherent clashes between them kept Sweet Life interesting for 6 seasons. Even if by the end the brothers were stripped of all nuance and basically defined solely by these handful of traits to an exaggerated degree. Boomer and Brady are really just the same guy, and that's to the show's detriment. They also scream a lot, which was to my detriment as a viewer.
Somebody help! The octopus took my arm!
It's inside your shirt.
Michaela is basically our third main character. She's a fierce warrior, which our kings regularly comment on the unlikelihood of.
I need to teach you two how to fight.
Ain't that cute?
She really believes in the kings, but she's pretty constantly annoyed by their antics.
What is wrong with you two?
Nothing. I swallowed a doorknob.
She feels inconsistent, much like Boomer and Brady, and that some episodes depict her as their best friend and part of their friend group, and some episodes treat her more as an authority figure who's trying to get them in trouble. How they feel about her and how she feels about them is very malleable from story to story. It's worth noting that throughout all 69 episodes, there's not one mention of Michaela having a mother. Very early in the show, Mason promotes Michaela to head of castle security, because not even tropical islands are safe from nepotism. It seems the entire written history of King Cow revolves solely around two bloodlines, because the Makula family has been tasked with protecting the kings for 100 generations. So if she and Brady were to get together, I'm sure that would have massive political implications going forward. A big part of Michaela's personality is her desire to live up to the Makula name and its legacy. She actually seems more passionate about this than Mason does, interestingly, so I'm not sure where she got it from.
You guys, the Makulas, done. Centuries of training and advising, essentially running this rock, done. You copy that? We're done!
I think her primary role in this series is just to be the object of Brady's affection, which is pretty non-stop and present multiple times in every single episode. She's very loyal and respectful of her father, and she seems to know that Lainey manipulates the kings, but doesn't do or say anything despite her job being to protect them.
I'd never stoop as low as you and manipulate the kings.
Mason is the king's strongest believer, strongest soldier, to a degree that almost becomes absurd and comical as they screw up absolutely everything on the island every single week.
There was a time I was much like you two. Smaller, uncoordinated.
He's also the strongest anything, being a walking collection of muscle mass with an extremely deep voice.
Mason, do that movie trailer thingy.
In a world where dancing is outlawed.
It's like he swallowed Darth Vader.
Mason is 1/8 Sasquatch, which is commonly used as a slur against him.
No more pulling wool over our eyes, Sasquatch. Hands off, Sasquatch.
We trusted a Southern Hemisphere Sasquatch to do a North American Bigfoot's job.
Michaela, for the record, is also part Squatch, I guess 1/16th. And the two of them occasionally butt heads due to Mason's overprotective nature.
You trust me to machete fight mummies, but I can't go to a beach with boys?
Mummies don't want to dance with my daughter.
Mason, despite what you might expect for this sort of character archetype, isn't dumb. He's really smart, really gentle, really loyal. He doesn't have many character flaws, but he's held together and made entertaining by Geno Seeger's performance, presence, and charisma. He's just a wholesome guy who makes every scene he's in better. Disney shows always had that one adult who acts circles around the child stars. I wouldn't say he acts circles around this cast, but he at least acts one singular circle around them. That feels accurate. He's no Mr. Mosby, but that's by design. He isn't supposed to be Mr. Mosby.
I will get both of you. And your little hawk, too.
And Lanny is basically just Starscream from Transformers. He's conniving, opportunistic, and scheming in the shadows to eliminate his superiors and take his place as the rightful leader of the King Cowans.
Ducks! It's the fish snappers! Shoot first, ask questions later.
In every episode, he tries to doom Boomer and Brady to a terrible fate so that he can take their place as king, and most of these schemes blow up in his face. He's basically this show's Squidward, and that karma will always catch up to him. The twins, meanwhile, in one of the show's most frequent running gags, have absolutely no clue that Lanny hates them, and they think of him as the sweetest little guy who's just trying to help.
Dude, I can't live in a world where Lanny hates us. Gotta love Cousin Lanny.
I know, he's our biggest fan.
Shall I put this on Lanny's account?
Oh, no. Lanny's always been so good to me. I couldn't do that to him. Why don't you charge it to the people of King Cow?
Lanny gave us these parachutes. That's weird. These are the same rocks that were in our air tanks when Lanny sent us scuba diving.
I think these rocks are out to get us.
I think Lanny is probably the best part of the show because he's just a strong personality and a well-defined character who never really wavers in who he is. He never feels like he's a different guy from episode to episode.
Oh, Lanny, that reminds me. Your order for poison scorpions is...
It's a surprise.
Usually these shows have a gambit of major recurring characters. Your Arwyns, your Principal Perrys. This show really only has one of note, that being Lanny's mysterious fish, Yamakoshi. Lanny bought him at Fishy You Love as a baby, and his true origins are a mystery. Spoiler alert, the truth will one day be revealed. For some reason, no one is able to understand him besides Lanny.
I think he knows what's going on.
Why can't you two-footed fools?
No, he has no idea.
Episodes with Yamakoshi always have him spoon-feed Lanny a plan to get rid of the Kings, and chastise him at the end when the plan inevitably fails. His motives are unknown for now. There's also a few characters I guess I should mention from a math perspective because they're all in a lot of episodes, but they're not important at all. This lady is Old Hag. She shows up every once in a while and just says like one crazy line per episode. And this is Unnamed Palace Guard, who I hadn't even perceived as existing until throwing together my world-famous character appearance tracking chart. And finally, there's a non-speaking guard named Mahama, who actually appears and gets name-dropped in like a third of episodes of the show, often falling victim to some sort of slapstick routine. Because this is a non-speaking character, he's completely uncredited. It's a genuine mystery who even played him, and I found a 13-year-old forum thread speculating about it. There is one instance where Mahama gives an off-screen ow!
Sorry, Mahama.
And you have to wonder if this was actually the actor or some random voiceover person they brought to fill in. Either way, it feels very much so like they're cheating because no one was credited for that ow. If they had actually given the actor a line, they would have had to pay him more in all subsequent appearances. But if they had a voice actor yell ow, which I assume is what they did, that means they had the character Mahama speak while continuing to pay his actor mere pocket change as an extra.
When it comes to chaos, there are two kings that rule. Together, they are the Lords of Lunacy.
Can you still see me?
The Monarchs of Madness. And the Masters of Disaster.
You totally saved me from that delicious bagel.
Brady and Boomer are the Kings of Chaos. Catch the pair of Kings, Kings of Chaos Marathon, tomorrow morning at 11:10 Central on Disney XD.
Sweet!
With that out of the way, the time has come to dive into Pair of Kings' inaugural season, which aired from September 10th, 2010 to May 2nd, 2011.
Your hands up. Top of that world, we're at the top of that world. Me and my homie, yeah, baby, we taking over. Top of that world, we're at the top of that world. Yeah, destiny chose us to rule. Hard to believe, but it's true. Yeah, we're so sick with it. We're so sick with it. We gon' rock this throne, let the kingdom come, yeah. At the top of the world, we are brothers, kings in the island singing. At the top of the world, we're at the top of the world.
I'll never be able to see this theme song again without thinking about that edit someone did where they overlaid KSI's song. Okay, fun fact, this shot right here is not in the series, and it's most likely from the unreleased pilot. Dan Povenmire and Jeff Swampy Marsh of Phineas and Ferb had originally written a theme song for Pair of Kings called Taken Care of Things, which ultimately wasn't used or chosen by the network.
That they did not use. It got down to the last two songs. We were one of the last two songs, but they chose another one.
So, they repurposed it in the closing credits of Phineas and Ferb Across the Second Dimension.
We switched two of the words in the chorus so that it wouldn't actually say the title of that live action show. It used to say the title of the live action show.
I personally think this song is a lot more fitting than the one the show actually has. There's tropical feeling instrumentation with drums. It's a very reggae vibe compared to the completely synthesized nature of the final show's theme song. Heavy auto-tune feels very out of place on a remote island, not to mention the really jarring synth elements transitioning between each and every scene.
Let's bring it out.
Typical episodes of Pair of Kings take advantage of the island setting and follow Boomer and Brady coming across creatures and cultures on King Cow or the surrounding islands, and inevitably messing something up. Maybe they enter a surfing contest, or hunt for pirate treasure, or get seduced by mermaids. There's a lot of episodes about mythological beings and strange creatures, like the ghost of a Viking Brady accidentally unleashes on the castle, or an uncomfortable monster called Poopole, who the kings steal from the wilderness as a pet. A recurring joke is that the kings have to share one throne, but in this episode they create a second throne for Pupile, meaning they could in fact create another throne for themselves at any time but simply don't, for unknown reasons. Pair of Kings is a series with a lot of CGI, action, and spectacle, which is pretty typical on Disney XD to give little boys the monsters and fights they craved. While the CGI is fun, the action is often really amateurishly executed, the quintessential example being in the episode Fight School. Boomer and Brady have to battle a giant called Atog in a coliseum, and he proceeds to repeatedly stand completely still for about 20 seconds at a time as they discuss their next move. He's just loitering back there. What's he doing? There's also some instances where I think they got too ambitious with what they were attempting to shoot or didn't get the right footage, leading to outstandingly awkward cuts like this.
Disney XD gives you an exclusive look behind the scenes of a brand new episode of Pair of Kings.
This episode is about a group in the jungle called the Flodgy.
I play Oogie in this episode.
Oh, they go and play up.
Green-tastic!
Boomer, he makes a new friend, and Brady really isn't feeling him.
I think that they're cannibals.
Now there's 2 kings for dinner.
Watch Pair of Kings Wednesday night at 8/7 Central on Disney XD.
Yes!
A notable native tribe on King Cow are the Flonji, a group of suspected cannibals who can turn invisible. Their showcase episode, The Brady Hunch, features the kings befriending a Flonji named Oogie, played by Sunny with a Chance alum Doug Brochu. This turned out to be the single most viewed episode of the series beyond the premiere, due to Doug's iconic leading roles in the series Sunny with a Chance and So Random.
You know who should be fired? Me, Donald Trump. You're fired.
They said something about us making this island great again.
I had a nightmare where 2 buffoons are running the country.
Here you go, little birdies. There you go.
A good amount of episodes have Boomer and Brady yearning to be like their father upon learning new details about him, like attempting to be warriors in Fight School after learning about the hero he used to be. It's not often mentioned, but the twins' connection, or lack thereof, to their parents and father especially, hang over the series. There's an episode where Laney hypnotizes a court jester named Jerry to attack Boomer and Brady.
Pair of Kings!
Roll credits.
This episode also ends with Jerry getting trapped in a cave at the start of winter, which was previously established to be unopenable during hibernation.
The Pupile will seal up its cave and hibernate. Our king shall be buried alive.
Thus creating a very clear implication that Jerry died of starvation. Yamakoshi's showcase story in the first season, No Kings Allowed, sees Boomer and Brady get dared by a group of pranksters to steal him. When they learn they're expected to mount Yamakoshi as a Yama trophy, I came up with that, they decide that they don't want anything to do with these cool kids and rescue him. Pair of Kings has a unique sense of humor and editing style, and that it embraces meta elements well before that was a cultural norm.
Hey, close the drapes. The wind is blowing the pages off the calendar. We can't chew gum and climb stairs without chipping a tooth.
Is that why they took our gum away?
There's frequent Family Guy-style cutaways, often showing flashbacks to when the twins lived in Chicago.
Remember the time the football team stapled our clothes together on picture day?
We took karate class once.
There's a lot of jokes that make use of stock footage to expand the show's scope.
Do you really need to have so many t-shirts?
Do you really need to have so many yachts?
The show often directly breaks the fourth wall and has the characters address the audience and acknowledge that they're in a TV show.
Best show on TV.
Best cooking show on TV. Episodes of an epic TV show you should text your friends about.
And keep in mind, this was before Deadpool, this was before Rick and Morty, this was before Community went full meta. Pair of Kings, in many ways, was remarkably ahead of the curve. There's random mixed media segments at some points. They even reference YouTubers.
They're not here to be groomed.
Can I get the name of your groomer?
My name is Clay, otherwise known as Dream.
And all of that which I just mentioned makes it so much more jarring when 90% of the show is just crusty boomer humor.
But dogs have tails, cats have tails. That weird kid in gym class had a tail.
I have to assume one of the writers stood up and declared to everyone, guys, I have an idea for a joke. What if a man hated his wife?
How'd you guys get out of the dungeon?
King Boomer let us out, as long as we go back after the concert is over.
And we're supposed to trust you?
That's my husband.
Trust me, we're going back.
Today is your lucky day.
My wife fell overboard?
Actually, that's my mother.
It's like you're already married.
Let's get out of here.
Pair of Kings, the vast majority of the time, will go for the single most obvious joke imaginable, in a way that feels like it was written on autopilot, beyond what's typical for one of these shows.
Can we keep him?
Boomer! We just found a wild animal in the middle of the jungle that we know nothing about. Of course we're keeping him!
There's also plenty of classic Disney Channel dialogue tropes, such as characters telling each other information that they both already know and there's no reason to say out loud.
If the medallion falls in the wrong hands, it could lead to a century of darkness. All of King Kao's most mysterious and powerful artifacts are in there.
For centuries, our family has been the protector of Vault 14.
You're allergic to jalapeno. If you ate that, your head would have blown up like a beach ball.
And don't forget the certified Disney Channel classic, characters saying, I can't believe blank, to quickly summarize what just happened.
Can't believe Atog thrashed us like that.
I can't believe he took our sword.
I can't believe he did it all in under a minute.
There are only 2 episodes of the show I remember watching as a kid. The first is Pair of Jokers, seemingly named after the lyrics of Dan and Swampy's theme song, in which the embodiment of karma haunts the twins for all of their bad deeds. The second is Big Kings on Campus, where Brady enrolls in school to keep an eye on Michaela and a perceived love interest of hers, and ends up trapped on a cliff with her. Boomer becomes friends with his child, who would go on to play Club Penguin star Zendaya's little brother in Shake It Up.
Pull! What? No pull, no pull!
No, don't pull! No! Ah!
Today, I was hanging off of a cliff wall, and I kicked a rock, and it landed right in the face of a camera operator.
A funny recurring trend in all of these Disney Channel shows I've covered is that no matter the premise, whether it follows pop stars, superheroes, or secret bionic teenagers in a lab, all of these characters have to go to school. Even on a remote jungle island, Disney found an excuse to make Boomer and Brady receive an education. But surprisingly, it's only in this one singular episode and never again. This episode, number 6 overall, ends with Michaela kissing Brady on the cheek because she's impressed by how brave he was. And it's never acknowledged again. I think you can't analyze Pair of Kings without discussing Brady's crush on Michaela. In every episode, Brady makes an awkward advance, and it's a coin flip as to whether or not she briefly vocalizes discomfort or isn't given an opportunity to react at all.
My Kings, I have a confession to make.
Don't call it a confession. Call it, the first day of the rest of our lives.
I set you up.
And then there's Michaela. Sweet Michaela. Who could be a part of our family if she plays her cards right.
Stop talking. It's weird.
We're kings, not firemen. Unless, you like firemen.
You need to be seen doing something good.
Care to do the spew? Only if you keep me in your arms, King Brady.
They're setting up for the annual Harvest Festival.
Look, I don't care if you're setting up for our secret wedding. You're not, are you?
No.
You look as good as you did yesterday, and the day before that, and the day you were born. Am I still talking?
I meant, can you tell my dad finally put me in charge of security?
You come up with their own secret little language. How about a toot toot ba-toot? That means, you smell nice. Want to share some fries?
Okay. You creepy. That means you're creepy.
Despite all of that relentlessness, his feelings for her aren't even exclusive. There are countless episodes where he's flirting or going out with other girls. even hitting on Michaela during these episodes. There's also episodes where he uses these relationships with other girls to make Michaela jealous. To make matters worse, he's very controlling. Upon learning Michaela kept a secret from him, Brady sabotages her property out of spite.
Don't tell the kings.
Don't worry, I wouldn't give them the combination to my bicycle lock.
Oh, we are so going in there.
Right after I go let the air out of Michaela's bike tires.
Brady regularly talks down to her.
Thanks for nothing!
He always puts his hand around her waist despite her having told him she's not interested. The show depicts this as charming and silly, with a laugh track punctuating every instance of him treating her like this. Brady's as possessive as they come. Anytime he sees her interacting with other men, the episode becomes a jealousy-fueled scheme to keep her away from them at all costs.
They can't muscle pump in front of my Michaela. Sorry to interrupt this unlawful gathering of the masses, but Michaela, King Boomer and I need you back at the castle immediately.
Another layer to this is that Brady is not only her boss, but he's the monarchical ruler of their entire nation's government. There is nothing she can do to escape his advances other than leave her home island. The power imbalance is so lopsided that one of two potential partners is obligated to refer to the other as Your Majesty.
Right, sorry, Your Majesties, I'll find my dad, thank you.
The show takes a very cut and dry black and white moral stance. There's the dark side, full of unquestioned evil, and the light side, home to good. The Bat Medallion, if acquired by the wrong hands, would cast the island in 1,000 years of darkness. Brady holds on to this medallion throughout the show, and it's hard to interpret this as anything other than a wholehearted moral endorsement of his every action. This was far from unique to Pair of Kings, but Disney XD was basically telling an audience of extremely impressionable young boys that acting like this was not only completely normal and acceptable, but cute, charming, and funny. I've watched a lot of these Disney Channel shows. I've been trudging knee-deep through the slop mines for years now, and I think Brady takes the cake as having the single most toxic crush out of every character in a Disney series I've covered, taking the title from Oliver in Lab Rat's Elite Force.
Would you like to put your feet up?
So you can measure my knees again? No thanks.
The 18th episode, Tone Deaf Jam, served as a vehicle for Mitchel Musso's Disney-boosted music career, and it premiered just 2 days before Mitchel Musso's 2010 album, Brainstorm. On the eve of the island's annual Harvest Festival, the Kings learned they're supposed to sing for the people of King Cow. If their performance is lousy, a massive tomato will get flung at them. But that hasn't happened in over 100 generations because all of King Cow's kings have historically been gifted with wonderful singing voices, known as the chime. Boomer considers himself a wonderful singer and volunteers to perform, despite Brady's hesitance. Only, Boomer cannot sing at all.
You guys are torturing people? I hope you left some for me.
Brady devises a plan to protect Boomer's feelings and uses his kingly authority to prevent the crowd from acting derogatorily towards Boomer. Only Boomer overhears this, sings anyways to show them, and gives the worst performance in the history of the island.
Boom, pow, wow, 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 wow.
Daddy, I fixed it. Now the meme man can't hurt us anymore.
As Michaela contends with the fact that the chime must have skipped a generation, she suddenly overhears Brady singing alone in the dungeon. He reveals that he's actually a fantastic singer, but he doesn't want to hurt Boomer's feelings, so he's never said anything, and he's gone out of his way to prevent Boomer from ever singing in the past.
Eventually, I had to be very creative. Excuse me. Has anyone seen my bucket of plutonium? It's about yay big and is super radioactive.
It's funny because Doc Shaw can also sing. His entire Sweet Life character revolved around his musical ability. But tragically, his talent had to get shoved aside, so Disney could push its next big musical sensation, Mitchel Musso. Boomer regathers the crowds so Brady can have an impromptu concert, and having never practiced at all, gives one hell of a show. Brainstorm doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, so it clearly made a massive cultural splash. In The Trouble with Doubles, Boomer and Brady overhear Michaela and Mason discussing the mysterious hidden Vault 14, which they're shocked to learn has been kept a secret from them. They ignore Michaela the next morning as she tells them about the upcoming Kaluki Island Peace Summit, because they're too busy switching into fantasy Michaela mode.
I love the dress, Brady. I just need my favorite accessory. You. Amazing treasures await you, Boomer. By the way, you're my favorite king.
After she leaves, the twins sneak into the hidden vault and discover a strange stone monster called Screechy Jeeky, who repeatedly pisses on their faces. They also discover a plant-based copy machine, which bites them on the ass to create duplicates of them. They decide to send these plants to the Peace Summit while they go surfing. The plants are courteous, cordial, and Michaela finds herself incredibly impressed by them. Boomer and Brady decide that things have gone too far when Michaela starts throwing herself onto Plant Brady. When they step in, the plants reveal the truth. They're not plants, they're evil weeds, and they lock the twins in the hidden vault. Then, they declare war on the island of Lacuna, taking military advice from Lanny and throwing Mason in the dungeon after he overhears their evil plan. Weed Brady, a plant who survives off water and sunlight, develops a crush on Michaela, raising the question, can he fuck?
I would like to photosynthesize with that girl Michaela.
Boomer and Brady discover an air vent. Then they escape the vault by creating 100 more clones of themselves and stacking to emerge up in their bedroom.
Just a little help? Oh, sorry, handsome. There are already way too many kings in this gang.
There are later episodes where the twins are trapped in their bedroom, and they never once have the idea to escape back down through this vent into the vault, despite the story establishing that direct connection.
Problem for another day.
After a tussle, the real Boomer and Brady are identified, and the weeds are sent away.
Take these imposters to the dungeon.
This episode ends in a really confusing way. There's a moment earlier in the season where the twins throw water balloons on Michaela and turn around to see her right behind them. This episode does something similar, where Michaela walks away, then the twins sneak into the vault again and see her standing there. But that was a really muddled, confusing joke when this entire episode was about clones, and specifically how this vault contains a human cloning machine therein. I watched this and initially thought, oh, Michaela cloned herself is the joke? Before eventually remembering this one gag 10 episodes ago that they were referencing. It's never explained what happened to the hundreds of clones the twins used to stack on. Were they sent into the dungeon as well, having never committed a crime yet, but solely because their weed race is inherently evil? Who can say?
Disney XD gives you an exclusive look behind the scenes of Pair of Kings.
On the island of King Cow, there are all types of monsters. Triclops,
Tarantula people. Mummies.
Any chance you have a bad breath mint?
Around here, you gotta stay on your toes.
Watch Pair of Kings Monday night at 8/7 Central on Disney XD.
Yes! My favorite episode of the first season is Season 1, Episode 16, The Kings Beneath My Wings, in which Michaela complains that the kings have become unpopular with King Cow, in a joke that's blatantly stolen verbatim from The Sweet Life on Deck.
I sent the recipe to my Aunt Myrtle, and she put it on the web.
She put it on the internet?
Oh, no. It's this huge spider web outside her house where she hangs notes.
They're posting negative comments on the web.
Wait a second, they're talking about us on the internet?
No, the web.
After the kings failed to save a regular-ass cat from a tree,
ooh, dang, Boomer crashed the web.
Lanny suggests a King for a Day contest and commits mass voter fraud to write his name 10 times over. Unfortunately for Lanny, the winner is a young boy named Hilo. Oh my god, it's the kid from Lab Rats! It's my celebrity twin, world-famous actor Tyrell Jackson Williams.
All I do is sit in my room and do research on you guys. It's way better than having friends.
Hilo is the king's biggest fan and proves to be infinitely more competent at being king than they are, using 1 hour while they nap to solve most of the country's problems.
Drained and refilled moat, broke ground on the new hospital.
A semi-recurring joke in this show is that Boomer and Brady are absolutely terrible rulers.
My kings, the armory is on fire!
We are in the middle of something! I mean, what about the guards? Giving their lives to fix our mistakes like what they do best?
Hilo decides that he wants to deal with the dreaded and ferocious Razorhawk monster, which has been terrorizing citizens and stealing livestock from across King Cow. The Kings would rather go surfing, so Hilo sets out on his own. After Waspinator's appearance earlier in the season, Terrorsaur now gets to join the fray. That's a big deal. The Kings realize they have to step up to save Hilo, and Lanny gives them a map straight to the Razorhawk to ensure they'll be eaten alive and he can become king. The Kings reunite with Hilo in the Razorhawk nest, right as its eggs start hatching and hungry baby Razorhawks start to emerge. Then the Razorhawk vomits on them all because this is Disney XD.
It's surprisingly delicious.
The Kings decide they have to step up, be brave, and save Hilo from danger. So they zipline themselves to safety away from the Razorhawk's nest. Hilo's story about the Kings rescuing him goes viral on the web, and the Razorhawk leaves civilization because Brady peed on its nest off screen, thereby marking it as his territory. The Razorhawk abducts Lanny to feed it to his children. The end.
Remember when you turned Jiki Kiki into Jiki Freaky?
Hey, I could show you around the lab, but believe me, there is nothing to see. Yep, nothing.
Lab Rats premieres this February on Disney XD.
I'm really excited to jump into another Disney XD series with continuity. Pair of Kings continuity is interesting in that there's a lot of character revelations and developments that stay consistent from episode to episode, like love interests coming down the line, and yet there's just as many details that get contradicted. In one episode, Boomer and Brady claim to feel each other's pain, an idea that never recurs. One episode will claim the Kings never shower at all, and the next episode will show Brady showering. One episode will say the King's nightlight is a guard with a flashlight, and one episode will say it's a thing plugged into the wall. Sometimes Michaela will claim the Kings cannot dress themselves, and other times we'll see them dress themselves.
Have you ever seen me try to dress myself? Stupid clothes! Why don't they come with instructions?
Good joke. All of this is fairly typical sitcom comedy fare, just made notable when the show does have continuity between stories. There are a number of episodes each season that progress an overarching storyline and often build upon previous episodes. I call these Keystone episodes. And let me round out our season 1 discussion with the 4 remaining Keystone episodes of the first season. In Lab Rats,
living in my basement?
Every Keystone episode built directly on the events of its predecessors. Avalanche wouldn't make sense without Bionic Showdown. Bionic Showdown wouldn't make sense without Leo vs. Evil. Pair of Kings operates very differently. There are loose concepts that get followed through on. The 4 Keystone episodes of the first season, for instance, all directly follow up seeds planted in the pilot, but have absolutely no relationship to each other. Sometimes you'll watch an episode that feels completely innocuous in the moment, only for it to suddenly be important in the finale. You'll go, oh, that random B-plot I completely forgot about is the key to everything. Okay. The first of these 4 storyline resolutions is episode 9, Revenge of the Mummy, which, as you may have surmised from the title, is about the revenge of the mummy.
Сдается мне, наша жизнь в Чикаго была раем. Теперь нам ничего не страшно. Не пропусти премьеру нового сериала «Два короля» 26 февраля, в субботу, только на канале Disney.
We pick up with the cliffhanger of the series premiere. Boomer and Brady are repeatedly sharing dreams of tarantula people and a mummy attacking them in their bedroom. Michaela says the weird dreams could only be caused by the bat medallion falling into the wrong hands. Brady thinks they should come clean, but Boomer thinks they should keep it a secret because if they go 6 more days without causing trouble, they'll earn cake. When Mason can't find the medallion, he's subjected to the King Cowan humiliation ritual hosted by Lanny, whose role is apparently just to MC events in this show. Mason has to reveal his embarrassing chest hair and his exercise video from his youth to the entire island, or more accurately, the 10 or so extras who could fit in the castle's courtyard. Boomer and Brady decide to set off and find the medallion, but they're swiftly caught by Michaela, who was onto them. Unfortunately, the group is captured by the mummy and the tarantula people. Michaela explains that the mummy was killed by a king hundreds of years ago, and he needs the saliva of a king to be restored to his full power. Now Brady has to resist spitting on the mummy. Fortunately, he has Cottonmouth. Boomer is able to defeat and capture a tarantula person, taking their armor as a disguise. Mind you, it was previously established that these are attached to their skin, so good for Boomer. Boomer and Brady realize they have to recreate the events of their weird dreams to defeat the mummy. They're able to reclaim the medallion and escape. As they're subjected to the King Cowan humiliation ritual, the mummy sits up and declares,
I will destroy them.
The mummy will not return until 59 episodes later. And when he returns, rest assured, his backstory will change. That's the beauty of Pair of Kings. Nothing stays consistent. Episode 13, The Bite Stuff, is the only other appearance of Aunt May and Uncle Ben beyond the series premiere. Up on King Cow's Wi-Fi tree, Boomer accidentally kills a man. When calling their aunt and uncle, Boomer accidentally lets slip how dangerous the island is. Aunt May angrily determines that she's bringing the kids home. On the walk back, Brady gets attacked and stung by Waspinator. And we learn from the great book that the symptoms Brady is about to cycle through are bubble butt, elephant ear, angry amnesia, bug eyes, linguini limbs, and pumpkin head. Now it's a bunch of physical comedy sequences as everyone tries to distract Brady's aunt and uncle from all of his physical transformations, countered by Lanny trying to expose them. The symptom always disappears just in time.
I dropped my scone. That's not the scone, Bill. That's my foot.
Sorry, I saw something crusty and went for it.
One barely acknowledged aspect of the show is that Mason is blatantly lying to May and Ben, trying to convince them that the island is perfectly safe for the nephews they raised. He also never informed Brady and Boomer of the danger until they got to the island. There's also a subplot about tarantula people declaring war after Boomer and Brady knock over a bunch of styrofoam rocks, which were actually tarantula person gravestones. There's also a moment where Brady heads out into the forest because the only cure for Waspinator's sting is to get stung again. Only the bug ends up secretly crawling into his bag. The climax sees Waspinator and tarantula people attack the castle and chase everyone downstairs. Boomer finally decides he's had enough and defeats Waspinator on his own. At this point, Aunt May should definitely be like, get your asses home, but Brady makes the most bizarre speech about family protects each other and me and Boomer are family, and this convinces Aunt May to let them stay on King Cow.
And they look out for us, and not just today.
But no one can protect you like your family.
But Aunt Nancy, this is our new family.
So, with that said, can we stay?
Between the bravery I've seen and the new family, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, baby. Oh.
This whole episode feels bizarrely sloppy and overstuffed. I think the tarantula people declaring war after the gravestones got knocked over could be pulled completely. But honestly, the writers probably just needed to pick a lane. Bug attack or bug symptoms or tarantula war. All of them feel shoved in. The idea that getting stung a second time reverses symptoms feels like the most forced justification to get Boomer and Brady back into the woods so Waspinator can crawl into their bag and attack the castle later. There's no rhyme or logic to the symptoms of the bug sting. It's just random comedy bits haphazardly strung together. And Aunt May's decision to let the twins stay doesn't make any sense from her perspective. The title doesn't even make sense. It's called The Bite Stuff, but Brady wasn't bitten, he was stung. This episode, narratively, doesn't even feel like it was ready to air, and I've never said that before. This story ends with Aunt May and Uncle Ben forcing the Kings to put the tarantula gravestones back together, which no one in King Cow thought to do. Then we never see Aunt May and Uncle Ben again. Season 1 closes with basically 2 season finales, and both bookend the series premiere in different ways. The first, at least according to Disney Plus order, is Journey to the Center of Mount Spew. On Boomer and Brady's birthday, King Cow apparently ran out of frosting halfway through icing Boomer's cake, which makes him upset at the idea of being co-king. If I were a king and my cake wasn't fully frosted, I would have the people responsible executed. That's insane. Now, as alluded to in the premiere, Brady claims to remember being born before Boomer, and he's been telling everyone on the island that this is the case.
The moral of the story is, it doesn't matter who was born first, but I was.
We learned that on the island of King Cow, King's birthday wishes actually come true for the day. Brady wishes for Michaela to be in love with him, forcing her to hit on him throughout the whole story against her will.
I think every choice you make is a wise choice and you're hot. Right behind you, and I'm enjoying the view. King Brady, the love really brings out the golden flecks in your eyes.
Her father does nothing to protect her or stop this. Boomer, however, wishes to learn which twin was born first. A beacon of light fires from Mount Spew, and Boomer sets forth on a quest to meet the Oracle, who can tell him the truth in a CGI spectacle.
King Brady, are you okay?
Shake something for me, cutie! You're hotter than that lava!
The Oracle is an entertaining character, and I think the show would have been better if he were in more than just this one episode. I like his energy and how he bounces off everyone in the scene with him.
So, you're the Oracle?
What did you expect?
I don't know. I thought you looked like one of those black and white whales.
That's an orca.
No, that's a nasty vegetable.
That's okra.
No, that's a talk show host.
Meanwhile, Mason and Michaela followed the Kings in an effort to keep them out of danger, while Lanny tries to sabotage them.
Where's my rope?
A scroll with the answers materializes on a treacherous rope bridge, and Boomer sets off to read it. For some reason, I think they're just desaturating the footage on loop in post to replicate the glowing effect of lava. As Boomer falls, Brady rushes to save his life and reveals the truth. He lied about remembering who was born first, because he wanted to feel better at Boomer than something. This is presented as an actual surprising plot twist. We were supposed to believe that Brady really remembered his birth. It's treated as a sweet moment, and Boomer decides he's perfectly content not actually knowing who was born first. After a battle with the Oracle, the twins succeed in throwing the scroll and the answer into the volcano below.
It really doesn't even matter what it says, because I already have the idol. So, might as well just throw it away in the volcano. Bye-bye.
And the show commits to never actually knowing which twin was born first, and thus which is the true first in line for the throne.
We're okay! We're gonna be your kings for a long time!
The proper season 1 finale is a far smaller scale story, but a more fitting conclusion that brings things full circle from the pilot. It's time for King Cow's monthly mail delivery. The Kings get an invitation to Broderick High School's prom. Mason kept them enrolled just in case being kings didn't work out, implying he's their guardian now, I guess. The twins decide to attend and use the fact that they're kings as leverage to finally become popular like they were never able to be before. Only the tarantula people are up to no good. Some of them casually enter the castle's throne room and transform into tarantulas to stow away in the king's luggage. Boomer thinks he has a date with a girl named Rebecca Dawson, who's described as the hottest girl in school.
The girl who had to quit driver's ed because her hotness kept fogging up the windshield?
In a flashback to 4 years ago when the Kings were in middle school, a headgear-wearing Boomer asks Rebecca to prom, and she seemingly agrees.
Yes, of course.
Oh, yes!
Then the kids get bullied by Rondo, who we're supposed to believe is a middle schooler in this flashback, rather than a full-grown Andy Richter-ass man. Boomer has been all over any girl he can set his eyes on in this whole series, but now we're supposed to believe his heart has belonged to Rebecca Dawson this entire time.
Oh, damn.
Dibs, darn it!
I am not going to participate in your objectification of women.
The Kings take off to Chicago, not to say hello to their aunt and uncle, but solely to brag to their classmates. They are completely unaware of the tarantula stowaways. At the dance, Brady interrupts the DJ to inform everyone that he and Boomer are kings, but no one gives a crap or believes him.
A bodyguard who's part Sasquatch?
Yeah, his daughter's all over me.
Meanwhile, Rebecca has absolutely no memory of Boomer asking her, and she's already come with a date named Pierce. Now we get her side of the story.
Yes, of course.
Yes! Go, Boomer! Get your prom on!
Yes, Mom, I told you I'll be home by 8. Sorry, some weird kid was talking to me.
At their lowest point, the twins are swiftly ambushed by Rondo and hung from lockers like they were in Season 1, Episode 1. Now the tarantula people reveal themselves and begin attacking random students at the prom with no discernible motive for doing so. What's their goal here? Their goal, I think, is to be evil. This dance has no chaperones, but it's okay because all of the students look like they're full-grown adults. Boomer and Brady see what's happening, and they decide they need to take action. Their character arc across 21 episodes is that now they're able to free themselves from hanging up on a locker. They gear up with PE equipment and use their Mary Sue powers to defeat the entire Tarantula People army by themselves and save their classmates. After he saves her, Rebecca declares that Boomer is her hero and completely abandons her actual date she came with. The Kings are celebrated by their classmates, and at long last, they've become popular. And what if I told you that multiple seasons down the road, the fate of the entire island of King Cow will lie in the hands of this girl, Rebecca? This show is insane, strap in. Let me give you an easy step-by-step guide on how to be popular, because when I was in high school, I accidentally became incredibly popular by unknowingly engineering a rise to prominence. Some people called me a terrorist, I consider myself a teacher. Ready for another lesson. When I was in middle school, I developed a habit of creating comprehensive lists of characters' appearances and speaking roles per episode of every TV show I watched. When I was near the end of 8th grade, I had an idea. What if I did this with people? From freshman to senior year, I carried a notebook in my pocket, and every time I interacted with someone, I wrote their name down. Only one name drop per day. I did this uninterrupted for 4 years. I started wearing cargo shorts to fit the notebook in the pockets. Every 25 days, I would file the data digitally and create an incredibly large and comprehensive list and a line chart documenting every single individual person I interacted with. But there was a flaw in my experiment. The children around me soon noticed that I was writing down their name in a notebook every time I interacted with them. And when they discovered the existence of a numerically ranked list, an extraordinary number of people saw this as a challenge. They were kids asking, have I cracked the top 100 yet? Top 50? As a matter of fact, this is how I became friends with Trinity, who's in a lot of my videos.
I wanted to be on that list as much as possible. I wanted to be in the #1 spot.
Trinity Maxwell was the 15th most interacted with person from high school.
I was trying to get in top 10. I didn't even beat the dog.
I lived with him. I saw him on weekends. The simple-minded plebeians who surrounded me in the hallowed halls of Springfield High mistook observational data for a form of social capital. By senior year, I stopped doing the list and I was still just coasting off social momentum. It all culminated in an actual Disney XD-ass moment when the entire crowd chanted my name at a pep rally after I made a video.
Give a little wave out of the dugout.
Then I completely forgot how to socialize during COVID, and now I just talk to people on Discord while sitting alone in my bedroom. The end. Mason, Michaela, and Lanny arrive just as the Kings save the day.
Only an 8 Sasquatch, unless you make me mad.
Is this an ethical way to treat a prisoner? Michaela beats the shit out of Rondo, but Brady decides that they have an obligation to let him go.
You gotta let him down. We're kings, not bullies.
Michaela, after rejecting Brady's advances all season, is so rizzed up by him that she bribes a girl for her prom dress and asks him to dance, brushing off poor Pierce, who just cannot get a win today. This season ends, hinting at a possible mutual affection between Brady and Michaela as they slow dance, the genetically evil race of tarantula people having been defeated once and for all until 9 episodes from now when they come back. Maybe, you know what? Fuck my friend Paige. I'm gonna put Trinity's name above hers, even though they tied. You're now in 14th place.
Get ready for an island adventure. We'll be right back to Pair of Kings on Disney XD.
Before we dive into season 2, I want to take some time to talk about the sets. Pair of King was filmed inside sound stages at Sunset Gower Studios. Not a single solitary second of this show was filmed on location. There is not but a glimpse of natural sunlight across 69 episodes. The primary set is the King's Castle. There's an exterior courtyard over here, home to Jiki Kiki. You walk through these doors to the throne room. The royal vault is over here stage right, and there's 2 doors over here stage left. All we ever learn is that there's a bathroom back there. Despite being on a dangerous island regularly attacked and invaded by the tarantula people, the King Cowan government decided to leave the kings completely exposed, because their throne room is outside.
No more sitting on the throne naked.
Upstairs is the king's single bedroom, with a pool table and 2 beds. This door leads to the off-screen bathroom. There's a rarely seen hallway section right outside the door, and there's a balcony on stage left. Obviously, these are both ground level sets, but the CGI does work incredibly well to create the illusion that the balcony is perched up above the courtyard. Beyond that, there's this frequently used patch of jungle, and the rarely used school and bedroom sets which we see in flashbacks a lot. And that's all. There are plenty of other rooms in the castle, but they all show up for only 1 episode each. Pair of Kings has maybe the fewest number of mainstay locations out of any show I've covered, but what's interesting is that you really don't feel it. I think because the jungle is so versatile, and they do so much to redress it to make it feel like a different space every time. Pair of Kings is also a very stunt-heavy show. They probably opted to put their budget into the action and FX work, which may have been the right call.
Is that a zebra? That's the zebra. Do you see the zebra? Why is everybody acting like they don't see the zebra?
Disney XD gives you an exclusive look behind the scenes of Pair of Kings.
When they say action, it's on.
We are doing amazing things each week. All the people behind the scenes are awesome.
Watch Pair of Kings only on Disney XD.
Yes.
The connection between King Cow and the rest of the world is also interesting and worth exploring before discussing season 2 proper.
You do know that King Cow is Latin for go back to the mainland. This place is dangerous.
Where is King Cow? The theme song depicts it smack dab in the middle of the vast Pacific Ocean, relatively close to Hawaii. This is corroborated by the episode Pair of Santas, where King Cow's Christmas lights are visible from orbit.
We used to say aloha, but then some other island took it.
However, a weather report at one point depicts King Cow as being just off the coast of Australia. The premiere claims that King Cow can only be traveled to and from by hot air balloon.
Why not take a boat or a plane to the island?
Oh, getting to King Cow can be tricky. We have to follow the wind current.
But there are passing mentions of boats and even passing boats in multiple subsequent episodes.
They were on the first boat out of here.
I have some really nice boats.
The voyage by balloon is said to be 23 hours and 10,000 miles.
23 hours in a hot air balloon.
10,000 miles away to avoid having a first date.
10,000 miles keep me and my girl apart.
Putting the balloon speed as an average of 435 miles per hour. King Cow isn't a secret from the rest of the world, it's just so obscure that no Western power has heard of it. However, everyone on the island seems fully aware of Western pop culture, with references to everything from Indiana Jones to The Lion King to Taylor Swift.
Hey, who's interrupting my Taylor Swift?
Mason even uses Miley Cyrus as an expletive.
Miley Cyrus!
This creates the impression that King Cow is importing American goods, despite America not being aware of their existence. We see plenty of modern technology like laptops and DVDs and electronic motors.
Now, it's not like the boys are dummies.
Despite having 21st century technology in the form of security lights, the castle's code red lockdown is just gently deploying drapes, because the show wants to have this jungly aesthetic at all costs, including the cost of practical technological innovations. There's pretty inconsistent rules regarding how secure the palace is supposed to be. Sometimes no one beyond royalty and appointed staff are permitted to enter the castle, and other times droves of women can swarm into the throne room without a care in the world. Not to mention tarantula people wandering in.
Explore the secrets of the island. Now back to Pair of Kings on Disney XD.
The second season of Pair of Kings aired from June 13th, 2011 to April 16th, 2012. The final season of the series to feature Mitchel Musso.
We're in the building, so people come put your hands up. Top of the world, we're at the top of the world. Me and my homie, yeah, baby, we taking over. Top of the world, we're at the top of the world. Destiny chose us to rule. Hard to believe, but it's true. Yeah, we're so sick with it. Said we're so sick with it. We gon' rock this throne, let the kingdom come, yeah. At the top of the world. We are brothers, kings in the island singing. At the top of the world. We're at the top of the world.
The second season opens with a two-parter called Kings of Legend. We continue chipping away at concepts proposed by the series premiere. In the show's first episode, Mason referred to Boomer and Brady as the Kings of Legend. It's only now, 22 episodes in, that they question what that means. Something I found interesting about this season premiere is that it takes itself very seriously. There are not very many jokes or laugh tracks in this one, with a lot of tense and suspenseful music cues. So buckle your seatbelts if you're under the age of 39, because this one might be a little intense. We're introduced to the island's Council of Elders, who panic at the fact that the island's dark side has creeped into the light by 2 feet and is terrifyingly close to a statue of the evil sorcerer, Zadok. We're told that Zadok brought the dark side of the island to life, but he was lured into the light by a king and turned to stone. If the island's dark side were to reach the statue, he'd come back to life and steal the soul of a king to take over King Cow. The chief elder, who points with his middle finger, thinks that the dark side has creeped closer due to the unworthiness of the kings, though Mason, their strongest soldier, is adamant that they are the Kings of Legend.
They are the Kings of Legend. and I'll stake my reputation on it.
Boomer and Brady want to prove themselves as the Kings of Legend, so they decide to roll Zadok's statue away from the dark side using skateboards. Unfortunately, as soon as they walk away, a random turtle causes the statue to roll into the dark side and restore Zadok to life.
I am red.
The next morning, the Kings wake up to find all of the island's wildlife in a state of panic. The elders discover the vanished statue, and upon identifying their skateboards, even Mason turns on the Kings. The two of them come to the sad conclusion that they have not been good kings and that they need to leave.
You make a list of all the good things we've done for the island, and I make a list of all the bad. I would have wrote down more, but I ran out of ink at Burnt Down Library.
They grant kinghood to Lanny, then self-exile via balloon. But Zadok mind controls King Cow's guards, including Mahama, and shoots down the king's balloon before they can leave. Boomer and Brady descend towards the dark side in our dramatic cliffhanger. Part 2. Boomer and Brady land safely on the jungle floor. After Waspinator and Pterosaur appeared last season, Tarantulas finally makes his Pair of Kings debut, but gets struck by lightning and explodes into liquid goop because it's Disney XD. Brady questions if the island brought them back because they are the Kings of Legend, which would rob Zadok of a lot of agency if his actions were predetermined. Although the brainwashed guards arrive, they overhear Boomer and Brady mention that Lanny is now the king, and they set off to capture him instead. Lanny is begrudgingly coronated. That night, he's abducted in his sleep, and Yamakoshi breaks free from his cage and flushes himself down the toilet off screen to try and rescue him. Boomer and Brady, wandering the wilderness, find themselves in a mysterious cave filled with paintings, and they're introduced to the Lady of the Cave, a psychic who can see into the future and paints her visions on the cave walls. For some reason, the actress pronounces King Cow differently than any other character in the show.
King Cow.
The twins discover that, per what the lady currently sees, the future is about to stop. The castle is going to be overtaken by Zadok, and King Cow ends. Inspired by an old painting of their dad, Boomer and Brady decide it's their destiny to stop Zadok. Also, the Lady of the Cave has a massive crush on Mason for no reason.
That's my beefcake's name. You know Mason?
Run!
Meanwhile, Michaela deeply misses her beloved Brady, who treats her so appropriately all the time, and she fawns over a bracelet he gave her.
I miss that cheesy goofball.
She and Mason set out to search for Lanny. Lanny, meanwhile, is impressed by Zadok's evil and begs him to adopt him. This begs a question: who is next in the line of succession after Lanny? If Lanny died right here, what the hell would happen?
This is what passes for a king? In my day, you wouldn't even pass for a princess.
The twins run into Yamakoshi, but they aren't able to understand him. Conveniently, a talking parrot shows up and tells them exactly where Lanny's being held. Everyone converges on Zadok's evil lair, and Lanny swiftly passes the title of king back to Boomer and Brady, which they find an exceptionally kind thing to do. The island's light side starts moving, and the kings are able to push Zadok into it. He turns back into stone. The guards return to normal, and the kings have proven that they might just be the Kings of Legend after all.
Group hug. Get your own group.
The Lady of the Cave has now painted a stunning portrait of Boomer and Brady standing as triumphant Kings of Legend, per a vision she saw of the future, and things will be completely derailed by the firing of Mitchel Musso, which the show is barreling towards like a time bomb. I can't help but think about the lack of societal implications regarding a literal prophecy about Boomer and Brady. Like, there would absolutely be religions formed around them, and the belief that they're the key to stopping the dark side. Imagine an episode where Boomer and Brady take advantage of their followers like cult leaders. This could never have happened, alas, because Disney was way too sanitized by 2011 to engage in religious conversations, the last biblical reference in one of their series being in The Sweet Life on Deck multiple years earlier. Although there is one instance in Pair of Kings where some guy says God in vain, the Disney Plus subtitles say God.
God, have you been drinking toilet water?
The next episode, Good King Hunting, actually feels like an unofficial part 3 to the season premiere, and that it finally addresses the last several episodes' growing romantic tension between Brady and Michaela head on. In it, Brady is trying to work up the courage to finally tell Michaela he likes her, as if she somehow wouldn't know across the previous 23 episodes. Boomer and Lanny help Brady practice asking her out.
Will you go out with me?
Yes!
Oh my gosh, that was so easy, thank you.
Are you sniffing his hair?
Well, I was actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake and then go back home.
This episode gives us a new angle of the castle. Holy shit, look at that. Brady decides to hide a note confessing his feelings in Michaela's bedroom, which we get to see for the first time. But when she comes home complaining that a boy just asked her out using a note,
I mean, what is this, second grade? Have the guts to ask me out to my face.
the Kings rush back to her room and try to remove it. She arrives, and through contrived circumstances, stumbles upon Boomer holding the note, and falls under the impression that he has a crush on her. Now we discover the reason Lanny was helping out earlier in the episode.
I'll go get the weapons prepared for the hunt.
On King Cow, before you can date a girl, you must escape a night hunt in the jungle by the girl's father.
I'll go sharpen the bear traps.
If caught, the teenage boy can never date the girl, and upon capture must be publicly humiliated by getting his head shaved.
What kind of frat house island is this?
Now, per the King Cowan traditions that exist only in this episode, Mason must hunt Boomer down through the jungles of the island. Michaela's able to see through the lie and chastises Brady for not being brave enough to tell her himself. So now Brady hunts down Mason and is able to get the jump on him. Mason is defeated in combat, and Brady finally earns the right to ask Michaela's hand in dating.
Michaela lives!
And now, after multiple episodes and an entire season building towards this moment, my naive ass was genuinely under the impression that the show was about to start an actual Brady and Michaela relationship. But Pair of Kings finds the dumbest possible solution to reset things to the status quo.
Michaela, will you go out with me?
You want me to go out with you after what you did to my dad? How could you? I wanted you to step up, not humiliate him.
What, you're mad at me?
Michaela is upset at Brady for defeating her father, which I believe was established to be the point of this ritual, and she storms off in a huff. With that, all progress from the previous several episodes is completely undone, and we go back to square one of Brady hating on Michaela in ways that make her clearly uncomfortable.
Oh, you are such a bad girl. I like it. So true. Hey, can I sign your cast?
No, you'd be touching my leg.
Oh, you saw through that?
Daddy, I love it.
More than this? You know what? I may never be able to smell again, all right? Not even Michaela's hair. I read your diary.
What?
Yeah, and I really hope that whoever King Creepy is leaves you alone. I was naming our future children. So far I have Maxim, Brooklyn, and Michaela Jr. All right, class, now gently relax into the smooching Michaela pose.
I really believe that media geared towards young children with developing minds has a strong obligation to depict healthy behaviors and relationships. Shows like Phineas and Ferb and Wizards of Waverly Place prove that this is completely possible. The easiest jokes to come up with are lowbrow, below the belt, characters being rude and snappy with each other and acting inappropriately. And to be clear, that's my favorite type of comedy. I find asshole characters funny as hell, but it's very clear that the Disney Channel writers were trying to do Always Sunny or Arrested Development style comedy with no consideration of their actual audience, whose brains were wet blobs of clay. It takes a hell of a lot more thought and effort to tell jokes that aren't like this. And seeing the Bray-Kayla relationship makes me feel all the more grateful to the increasingly few Disney Channel shows that actually made an attempt to show kids a healthy environment. Stories in the second season continue to explore the island and its many cultures as Boomer and Brady fumble their way through them.
Let's review where on the island you two aren't allowed to go alone.
The main distinguishing factor from season 1 is the recurring presence of the Elders, who express continued skepticism that Boomer and Brady are the kings of legend. Some stories include Boomer and Brady accidentally raising zombies when opening competing clubs, traveling to an island to date their twin queens cursed with stupidity, or getting duped by dates who are secretly old ladies attempting to drain their energy to power the fountain of youth.
And be careful, being that old, we don't want you to have a heart attack. Ah!
Mason's family life is explored when his incompetent brother arrives for Michaela's birthday and manages to screw up everything around the castle. We retconned the show's past a little bit when an episode establishes that Mason would regularly check up on the twins when they were young by sneaking through their window into their bedroom while they were sleeping.
Pick up a cupcake?
He's just haggard now. Another CGI spectacle episode sees the Kings face off with the Sandworms from Dune, as they invite a ton of old classmates from Broderick High School, including Rebecca's date Pierce, but not Rebecca herself, to party on Paradise Beach. Lanny switches the apparently double-sided and easily rotatable sign so the kids go to Danger Beach, because he's willing to literally murder hundreds of teenagers to take his place as king.
That must be a terrible way to go. Being eaten alive.
Because the show has no sets, the Sandworm's cocoon is in the castle's throne room.
Maggot must have come here for the peace and quiet.
Because the show has no class, we learn in a flashback that Boomer and Brady's pet dog had projectile diarrhea on all of their classmates as freshmen, and that's what doomed them to being unpopular, which contradicts Pair of Prom Kings when the issue was that nobody remembered them or perceived them. In an apparent attempt to recreate the success of Doug Brochu's episode in Season 1, Oogie returns in a Season 2 episode called Make Dirt Not War, in which he has a crush on a dirt fairy named Priscilla, played by special guest star Jennifer Stone from Wizards of Waverly Place. It's a Romeo and Juliet style love connection, as the Flaungy and the Dirt Fairies are ancient rivals, and their bitter generational conflict is referred to as beef.
I'm going to end this beef.
Their battle almost destroys the sacred Ruby and Jiki Kiki, and no attention is drawn to that, despite the fact that it would have cast the entire island into permanent darkness, as established in episode 1. In the end, Oogie and Priscilla fall in love, and the network was not able to make lightning strike twice because this episode's viewership was nothing beyond average. By season 2, a recurring gag forms where a vase gets knocked over and shattered, and you can tell the writers thought this was very, very entertaining.
This is a 1,000-year-old relic. It's priceless.
Eventually, the show starts getting meta, and characters start questioning its inexplicable reconstitution between episodes.
Oh! Oogie, what are you doing? That was irreplaceable.
We should probably question that.
A pervasive element across the series that's starting to fully take form during the second season is the general feeling of cultural insensitivity that permeates the island. I think the writers tapped into a general media depiction of tribes and foreigners who don't speak English as a first language, because there's a lot of side characters who are introduced speaking broken English.
Okay, no, quiet.
Why a botchy mouth? Tastes like dirty chicken leg.
Bye, kings.
But English is pretty clearly the primary language of the island. Everyone on the island speaks English, so why then logically would these characters have this broken way of speaking? Characters also keep calling Michaela Pocahontas.
Exactly, Pocahontas.
You wanna dance? Pocahontas.
There's nothing in these episodes that provide any different context for that. That's just referring to Kelsey Asbill being part Native American. Boomer and Brady also seem to have no respect for the island's culture. The few things they take action on and do as king are just gentrifying the island.
Bro, so what's wrong with the mail being dropped from the sky?
It's barbaric and dangerous. It now gets dropped safely in the jungle and hand-delivered by a qualified mail carrier.
Nothing at Pair of Kings feels intentionally offensive or discriminatory. It all feels accidentally offensive and discriminatory. Like the writers just innocently threw in the first things they thought of and were completely blind to subconscious biases. Compare this to The Sweet Life on Deck, which went out of its way to insult the culture and heritage of every single country the cruise ship visited. That series' writers found stereotypes very, very funny. The one exception in Pair of Kings is this entire episode where the central running gag is, we're making fun of Jamaica.
Hey man, don't point that thing at us. We're here for the Albano Reggae Fest, man.
The king stole Yamakoshi and insulted the entire island of Jamaica.
For the first time ever, 3 cultural consultants from my Sweet Life on Deck video have all gathered in my apartment. Look at them. Holy shit. Can you believe it? Back in season 1, there's an episode where Mason declares that the kings must date the Princess of Cornea to heal the relationship between their two nations. And I started wondering, who decided that? Because the kings are the ruler of this nation, aren't they? Well, the episode Dinner for Squonks offers a potential solution. Following a corn dog that rolled under the couch, Boomer and Brady accidentally stumble upon an underground bunker from which Mason and the elders have been secretly operating a shadow government the entire time. This is an absolutely hilarious premise, and the show does nothing with it because the plot shifts gears. The kings decide that they want to be in charge, so they're tasked with having a kind dinner with the Squonk Queen. We're told that the Squonks keep the Mooka rat population at bay, and healthy relationships must be maintained. But once they meet in the underground caverns, the kings find the Squonk race to be so ugly, their traditions so repulsive, that they leave.
Aren't you going to shake it?
We really should.
Shake the foot. Okay.
The Squonks angrily stop restraining the Mooka rats, unleashing an infestation on the castle. After Tarantulas' cameo, Rat Trap finally joins the series, our first maximal representation. The Mooka rats were also mentioned going back to the first season.
Toss him in with the Mooka rat!
Lanny is bitten by a Mooka rat and develops rabies. After failing to deal with the rat problem themselves, the kings head back underground to apologize. But not before a bizarre DisneyChannel.com online game-ass sequence, unlike anything I've seen in my life. The kings come to relate to the Squonks, who are gross and uncleanly just like them. A wonderful relationship is established between King Cow and the Squonks, and the Mooka rat problem gets solved. My favorite episode of the series is probably Season 2, Episode 5, Kings of Thieves, and I could tell before I even reached the halfway point. We start with King Cow's first rocket launch, in which Boomer and Brady attempt to send Mahama to the sun. Mason is concerned because the kings have spent their entire royal fortune, and now the King Cowan government is completely out of money.
Well, it won't be long before you have to lay off staff.
Brady and Boomer are forced to take a page out of the Ryan and Shane playbook and lay off their entire staff due to severe financial mismanagement like Watcher Entertainment did in 2025. It's decided that the kings will have to implement a tax on their citizens. $5.99 a month, a price anyone can afford. Lanny eagerly volunteers to become the tax collector to ruin Boomer and Brady's reputation. We also enter a village on King Cow for the very first time. It turns out that the citizens of any given country become unhappy when forced by their government to pay higher prices.
Oh my god, like, can we talk about, like, the political and economic state of the world right now?
Lanny being a tax collector is probably his best role in this entire show. Brady doesn't want to take any money away from his citizens, so he adopts a persona as a Robin Hood-esque figure called Sirocco, and robs Lanny's cart before distributing all of the money back to the people of King Cow. The whole island falls in love with him. Most of all Michaela, who swoons over Sirocco, yet insists he's nothing like Brady. Boomer eventually gets clued into the secret and adopts the role of Sirocco's sidekick, Sirocco Taco. And the two of them go on a spree of robbing Lanny's taxation runs.
You will never get away with this!
You can't keep getting away with it!
We just learned that Sirocco is working with an assistant.
Assistant? Sirocco Taco is the heart of that operation!
At this point, Roger Doofenshmirtz randomly shows up to narrate that the kings do this for a very long time.
And so Sirocco and that other guy set out to gain the love of their people by continuing their daring raids and cunning robberies.
King Cowan Security starts to crack down, and Lanny offers a $1 million reward from his own personal family fortune for anyone who can capture Sirocco. Now the citizens turn on Sirocco and attempt to turn him in for the prize.
We love money more!
Luckily, Michaela is able to pull him to safety. The Disney Plus subtitles say, "Grunts French style." Alone and hiding, Michaela pulls a Mary Jane Watson and demands Sirocco kiss her.
Brady is safe!
Brady? Oh, I'm gonna be sick.
Okay, well then hurry up and kiss me fast, or during, I don't care.
The trio devises a plan to solve all of their problems. Boomer stages the capture of Sirocco and gets the $1 million reward from Lanny. Then Sirocco stages his escape.
Oh my gosh! Sirocco, you broke free!
Stop him, King Brady, with your giant muscles.
The episode abruptly ends, and it's peak.
Sirocco's escaped!
Oh, why isn't someone capturing him?
Are you offering another reward?
Yes? Oh, he must be stopped. I'll do whatever it takes.
And so the kings captured Sirocco 5 more times, making the kingdom richer than ever.
Thank you, Roger Doofenshmirtz. Good night, tri-state area. A lot of episodes in the second season are dedicated to the Brady-Michaela relationship, which continues to develop. And by develop, I mean tread its wheels. Here are a few examples of continued Bray-Kayla adventures. The episode Big Mama Waka is a sequel to The Bite Stuff, and is the third and final appearance of the Waka Waka bugs. I mean Waspinator. We open with Brady luring Michaela into the woods on a forced date.
Where were we?
You really think this is a date? You want to know why I won't go out with you?
'Cause you're scared?
No offense, but from what I've seen, you're the kind of guy who runs when things get tough.
Shit! They end up attacked and ambushed by Waspinator. And although she's not stung, Michaela is sneezed on. She becomes sick with Waka fever and starts sneezing excessive amounts of snot everywhere.
Yeesh, that girl's a goo factory.
Brady decides to play nursemaid, under the impression that him being gentle and caring will rizz her up. And it absolutely works, and she grabs his hand and says,
You're really sweet to take care of me.
At a certain point, it's her fault that Brady can't get over her because what the hell is she doing? Michaela also becomes incredibly needy and unreasonable while sick in bed.
Not too fluffy.
Okay.
Then raise my feet. Then tuck them in because they're cold again. My head's hot. Where's my ice pack?
You didn't ask me for an ice pack.
I wonder if a man wrote this, yes. Mason seeks out the chief elder, who in this episode only is a medical shaman. It's actually really strange. In other episodes, he's credited as elder. In this episode, he's credited as Shaman Mamakusa. He dresses completely differently. He lives in a hippie van, which is not the place a powerful elder would live. He speaks in full and proper English sentences in this episode, whereas the elder previously spoke in broken English.
Since they arrived, it creeps. I thought I lost this. You want a Belgian waffle?
It's like this shaman was written to be a completely different character, but they cast the same actor who already played the elder. The elder claims to be 104 years old.
I'm 104 years old.
But he also says,
Boarding pass to the Titanic. How old are you?
Old enough to put on dress and jump in first lifeboat.
If he were 104 in 2011, he would have been 5 years old when the Titanic sank in 1912, and thus he wouldn't have needed to pretend to be a woman, leading me to conclude he wore a dress due to subconscious gender dysmorphia he remains unable to understand until this day. The chief elder diagnoses that Michaela is going to enter a 100-year sleep, and the only cure is Waka jelly. Yamakoshi has an evil idea. Lanny should eat all of the elder's Waka jelly, so the kings have to go on a dangerous quest to get more, which they surely won't survive. We see a flashback to establish how Brady is a scared weenie. We get the return of Rondo, as well as the PE teacher from the first episode. We maintain the continuity of Boomer's headgear and Brady's Harry Potter phase. With the cure missing, Brady decides he has to be brave and enter the Waka hive to milk Waka jelly from the Waka queen. The elder states that because Brady was already stung, he's immune to future stings. We're told that Boomer is also immune because he's a twin.
If one twin king is immune, so is the other. It's called twimmunity.
Lanny leads the kings on a death mission into the hive. There are a lot of scary antics. Brady remembers that he beat Rondo in gym class by making him pass out due to his stinky sock. So he throws his socks at the Waka queen and makes her pass out.
Stay strong, bro. Milk it for your girl.
By the time they return home, Michaela has had a full metamorphosis into Waspinator and demands Brady hug her.
Come on, Brady. You're my big hero. Where's my hug?
Another Brady-Michaela story is The X Factor, in which Michaela's pirate ex-boyfriend Lucas sails into King Cow. We learn that he broke her heart, but they never completed the sacred King Cowan dumping ritual, which says you must dump sludge on whoever you're breaking up with. Because no sludge has been dumped, Michaela and Lucas are still technically dating, and it's clear that she harbors feelings for him. Boomer and Brady decide to sneak aboard the ship and use their kingly authority to force Lucas to break up with Michaela formally. Lucas, it turns out, looks exactly like Boomer. He only recognizes the authority of the sea, so the kings take matters into their own hands. Boomer is to disguise himself as Lucas and emotionally torture Michaela on a date by insulting and degrading her for hours. Unfortunately, Michaela is apparently willing to put up with extreme levels of abuse, which explains why she still entertains Brady's affection.
Not really feeling the picnic. How about we go to the village so you can buy me dinner? And I don't like to walk, so you have to pull me there on my rickshaw.
This is hard for me to say, but I still like you. I don't know if my heart can take getting broken again, but I'm willing to take that chance.
After Lanny reports their impersonation to the Sea Raiders, Boomer is captured to be fed to the Kraken.
Grab the imposter!
Michaela is given more agency than usual today, as she doesn't even get to comment on the fact that Brady was trying to emotionally manipulate and gaslight her by having Boomer harass her on a date. Instead, she says she's gotta go live with Lucas on his pirate ship. She tells Brady that the reason she isn't interested in him is because of the stunts he pulls. After Michaela arrives, Brady decides to swing onto the pirate ship as well and save the day. Despite the fact that his motivations haven't changed and he's still clearly doing this to keep Michaela away from her ex, Michaela is so impressed by his bravery that she initiates the dumping ritual and drenches Lucas in fish guts. The trio narrowly defeats the raiders with empty plastic barrels, and they jump into the water to safety. The episode ends with Michaela seemingly being into Boomer, which is bizarre because he spent the whole episode being rude to her.
That is so sweet. You know, I had a really nice...
Yeah. Don't get attached.
I think the only conclusion you can walk away with here is that Michaela is a genuine masochist who seeks out partners who will destroy her emotionally. This is what happens when you don't have a mother. Another Break Kayla showcase is No Rhyme or Treason, which is a really clever title because it's about Brady banning poetry. No rhyme or treason. We open with Brady's next plan to make Michaela fall in love with him, which is to prey off her love of the ocean and leave an octopus under her bed. It doesn't go well. Michaela says enough is enough and proposes an ultimatum. She only wants to be friends, and if Brady flirts with her again, their friendship is over. So Brady opts to bite his tongue.
The sun's shining, the birds are singing. I don't even eat the kings today.
Get it off me!
Now get this, only a couple days pass, and already, Michaela becomes desperate for Brady's attention. She starts to clearly egg him on, and the episode does nothing to explore this. She invites the kings to a poetry slam, but when Brady slips up and flirts with her, she angrily declares that they're no longer friends.
I told you we wouldn't be friends if you kept flirting with me, and you kept flirting with me, so what does that mean?
This episode is Brady at his worst, and he starts dating a pelican he imagines to be Michaela, and becomes incredibly jealous of Boomer hanging out with Michaela.
You can't be friends with her.
Okay, I have tried being professional, but you're being ridiculous.
Oh, really? Well, you think Boomer's just gonna stand by while you ignore and disrespect me? I just can't believe you're betraying me by hanging out with my girlfriend.
Brady refers to Michaela as his girlfriend, much like David from Survivor 48 kept referring to his ex as his girlfriend despite her dumping him before the season started. Brady continues his unreasonable tirade and bans all poetry to prevent Boomer and Michaela from hanging out. When they meet in secret, he crashes the proceedings and accidentally delivers a poem about how much Michaela means to him.
A heart that wants someone I know I can't have. A heart that would rather annoy that girl than be broken by her.
Placed under house arrest for poetry, his ankle monitor being Mahama, Brady apologizes to Boomer and reverts his ban. Michaela was so moved by Brady's poem and says she misses him as a friend. Great. All's well that ends well. Lanny invents Morbin time.
It's feeding time!
In Crouching Brady Hidden Boomer, Brady gets asked out by a warrior from the Nanju tribe named Sabrina. This turns out to be Michaela's bitter rival from school. Michaela warns Brady not to go out with her because she's evil, but Brady thinks Michaela's only jealous. Yeah, she's evil. Brady gets held hostage up in the Nanju treetops by her clan of ninjas, who are all white people, as ninjas in feudal Japan historically were. Michaela has to come rescue Brady and fight her rival in one of the show's better fights, which ranges from staff-to-staff combat on the ground to aerial sparring, achieved by the Nanju tribe's gravity-defying crystal belts. recurring trope in these Disney series is women catfighting each other for no reason, usually screaming and rolling on the ground. I want to give Pair of Kings credit here, because it's a show with combat and fights all the time. It took them this long to have a woman v woman fight in the show, and it's between two warrior characters and it's well choreographed action using their established skill sets, not just pulling hair on the floor. But I can't hand out too much adulation because, per usual, the grown-ass adult writers insisted on having the male characters comment on how hot and compelling the underage women fighting is.
Well, this is interesting. Yeah, I don't know whether to call for the guards or pop popcorn. This could be on pay-per-view.
I am not going to participate in your objectification of women.
I could just tell when watching this. I pointed at the TV and I was like, they're gonna use this footage of Michaela in the season 3 theme song, aren't they? And they did. Michaela defeats Sabrina and Brady learns a valuable lesson.
I'm gonna start paying attention to you and not just how you look.
That would be a nice change.
And your smell.
You're incapable of growth.
There's an episode next season where Boomer claims he wears a ninja outfit under his clothes at all time, but I guess he didn't think to reveal it today when he's fighting actual ninjas. Meanwhile, Lanny learns that his haircut looks like a troll, and the B story basically consists of him walking in with new hairstyles, culminating in cornrows, until he ultimately reverts back to his usual look.
I think we both know what needs to be done to make this right. Capture, torture, and imprison a person who did that to your hair?
This is the start of a new running gag where Lanny is constantly told he looks like a troll, which will start to be said at least once per episode by the 3rd season. Usually in these shows after multiple seasons, characters start to become one note and defined by a few singular traits. Pair of Kings is a special case where this only affects Lanny in season 3 because everyone else's characters are that paper thin to begin with. In the show's only Christmas episode, Pair of Santas, Boomer and Brady's occasional references to Santa finally pay off.
Santa.
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 Santa. Santa.
The Kings are appalled to discover that gift giving isn't a holiday tradition on King Cow.
No presents, no kings. Chicago, here we come.
The twins, in one of the few instances where they have a goal for the nation they rule, decide that the children of King Cow need to experience the magic of receiving gifts. Luckily, they discover that a collection of North Pole elves live right here on the island. What is a squonk tree and why would Poopale be in it? The elves are all buff guys who fled the North Pole in humiliation after they were too tall and didn't fit in.
The only plus-size person giving me any love in Santa Town is Mrs. Claus.
Boomer and Brady are disappointed to learn that the elves have abandoned gift-making and try to encourage them to take up the reins again.
Christmas is in your blood.
That's racist. Your soul. That's racist.
The Kings have already hyped up all the children on the island that they're going to receive gifts from Santa on Christmas. And so they use their kingly authority to force the elves to make presents.
Sometimes you gotta be naughty to be nice.
In the B-plot, Mason becomes obsessed with decorating the castle. As the Kings prepare a toy-making workshop on the castle grounds on the night of Christmas Eve, Mason accidentally overloads the electrical outlets with too many bulbs and causes a massive power outage over the island. The elves go on a rampage and quit. But Boomer and Brady wake up the next morning and all the children have received presents. Santa himself leaves them a letter telling them that he appreciated their hard work and effort. He loved that they forced the elves to relive their traumatic past. Brady tricks Michaela into kissing him with mistletoe. And finally, Santa himself flies over the island of King Cow. He delivered all the presents overnight, and now he's back. A second time.
A giant ogre terrorizes King Cow. And only giant head chef and basketball great Dwight Howard can tame the enormous beast. But the Kings push him out of bounds. I quit! With their master cook out the door. To play professional basketball. It's up to the Kings to win him back by proving they can whip up an explosive meal. Now let's get this party started! A brand new Pair of Kings, Monday night at 8:30, 7:30 Central on Disney XD.
In the episode Cooks Can Be Deceiving, the Kings watch their favorite TV chef Spatula Jones prepare steak cake, and they use a 1960s Batman-style hotline to order some from their kitchen, who decline. The Kings head to the kitchen to investigate, and the head chef is far too busy with a more important dish. An ogre is about to wake up from his 10-year sleep, and the first thing he needs is the chef's special goulash. When the king protests, the head chef complains about being underappreciated, and the entire kitchen staff quits. The head chef is played by basketball star Dwight Howard, who Disney Channel was putting into their shows with a high degree of regularity around this time. Without goulash, the ogre will rampage King Cow and tear the island to shreds. Lanny is particularly stressed about the impending disaster because 10 years ago, the ogre made a pledge to eat him the next time he wakes up. We get a fantastic flashback where Ryan Ochoa's little brother Raymond Ochoa depicts a young Lanny. He hits all of the same beats, and this does genuinely feel like the same character.
Fung! Fung, you big dope! Everyone knows it's Fung!
Lanny has a completely different role in this story, which is a really fun change of pace for him, where he's desperately helping the kings to try and keep the ogre happy, letting his aggression be clearly on display to them.
By the way, this new violent side of you, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
The kings call in Spatula Jones, who they eventually realize is a complete fraud who doesn't know how to cook at all. Jones stalls and cooks absolutely nothing.
I don't know how to cook. They only hired me because of my pretty face and my name.
Wait, your real name is Spatula?
No, it's Jones.
You lost your accent. You're not even Spanish.
The ogre awakens and arrives. Lanny apparently doesn't have the idea to hide inside the castle. There's a really strange edit where Brady comments on Michaela's face, but we the audience can't even see what face she's making. The ogre is infuriated by his empty goulash and takes Spatula Jones hostage, believing he's Lanny. I appreciate that the ogre immediately remembered his promise to eat Lanny that he made 10 years ago. Something interesting is that in The Trouble with Doubles, the episode with the plant clones, Michaela reacts in confusion when Lanny is referred to as Prince.
Prince Lanny.
Prince?
Get used to it, sweetheart.
He was never referred to as Prince before, but here, he's referring to himself as Prince Lanny.
Prince Lanny.
Which seemingly implies that role stuck after the plant doppelgangers gave it to him. The ogre declares that if his stomach growls one more time, he will destroy the island. I love that he has the self-restraint to commit to that. So Boomer and Brady are forced to cook the goulash themselves, which turns out to be a very difficult venture. The ogre arrives, and the goulash is so bad that he passes out and I guess dies, thus solving King Cout's problem. When Boomer and Brady apologize to the head chef because they realize how hard his job is, he tells them that he quits because he's going to join the NBA.
Who does he think he is? Dwight Howard?
The second season has 7 more episodes which I classify as Keystone, all of which continue to expand on elements of the first season or introduce elements important to the show's future. Season 2 episode 6, An Ice Girl for Boomer, picks up the storyline of Boomer's relationship with Rebecca Dawson, as established in Pair of Prom Kings. On the hottest day of the summer, Boomer and Brady discover an ice cave to chill out in, but fail to notice a thawing cave woman. The show having forgotten about the Wi-Fi tree, Boomer invites Rebecca to the upcoming King's Luau via video call, but it very much seems that she is not interested.
Wait, you want an answer right now? Oh, no, low battery. Look, I may lose you.
When Brady discovers the thawed and grunting Angela, and she seems to be in love with Boomer, Brady thinks she could be the perfect date for his brother, and we go through a training montage as he teaches her how to be hot and socially acceptable.
Bruh.
I feel bad for this actress. Like, I know she got paid, but no amount could be worth this shit. Sometimes you just feel bad for the actors in these shows. Like, imagine getting a casting call for Old Bag of Wrinkles.
We can't be looking like a sack of wrinkles.
When Brady introduces Boomer to Angela, all goes well, only for Rebecca to abruptly arrive at the castle without any further communication beyond the video call. Now, Angela is angry about being abandoned by her crush. Rebecca casually drops that there are dragons on King Cow, something we never see in the show at all.
What was that animal that looked like a dragon?
A dragon.
Apparently even Megatron's here too off screen. Unknown to our characters, a caveman now starts thawing, who was clearly not in here before. Angela attacks the King's Luau. Brady confesses to Boomer that she's a Neanderthal, and then the man attacks because he's in love with Angela, and he kidnaps Rebecca for some reason and holds her hostage up on the roof of the castle. After a King Kong homage fails to take him down, Brady realizes Angela is the key. If they can convince Angela to fall in love with Cave Guy, they'll untangle the love square and set things right.
Would you do it for a Michaela snack?
Oh, you've set us back 10,000 years, sister.
Then they kind of just point out to Angela that Cave Guy is a romantic option and everything's fine. Rebecca slides off the roof and Boomer catches her. She calls him her hero and flies back to Chicago after a successful first date. Boomer thinks his first real relationship couldn't be going any better. We don't see or hear about her again until 36 episodes later, and Boomer dates all kinds of women in the interim. The end. There's one particularly interesting episode called The One About Michaela's Friends, where Boomer and Brady decide to find Michaela a friend so she won't be on their case as often. Even though she's been seen with plenty of friends throughout the series, this episode pretends she's never had a companionship in her life. Throughout the episode, Michaela bonds with a girl named Tessa, but the Kings routinely ignore this due to Tessa being a loser, and come away with a popular gossipy valley girl named Candace to be Michaela's best friend.
I can't do much about your eyes to nose ratio, but if I can get rid of that tacky machete and bossy attitude, at least I'll have a jumping off point.
But after Candace's incompetence causes everyone to fall into Mount Spew, Tessa proves herself as a hero by rescuing them. We end with Michaela wanting to hang out with her real compatible friend, Tessa. Then Tessa never appears again, which isn't all that unpredictable given these shows, but what did surprise me is that Candace goes on to be depicted as Michaela's best friend in many subsequent episodes and plays a pivotal role later in the series, which completely contradicts not only this episode's overarching message, but also its events. 2 episodes of the second season serve as a reminder of the Bat Medallion and the Tarantula people's existence. The first is Do-Over, a fun Groundhog's Day style episode where the Kings discover an ancient pocket watch with time travel powers, allowing them to redo day after day after day until they accidentally lose it and find themselves unable to stop Tarantula people from taking over the castle in the defenseless state they left it in. The Kings still have the watch completely intact as the episode ends, and yet is never seen or mentioned again. The other is Sleepless in the Castle. Brady keeps sleep fighting, which makes Boomer decide to move out. He finds an apartment across town, whose landlord is a secret tarantula person. Lanny commits treason against his country when he brings her the Bat Medallion, in the hope she'll destroy the Kings. She mind controls Mason, an ability tarantula people just have, only in this episode, and the only thing that can stop Mason is unleashing a sleep-fighting Brady. The Kings move back in together and reclaim the medallion. Despite including the medallion, nothing from these 2 episodes is ever followed up on again. The episode, The Cheat Life of Brady and Boomer, how clever, seems innocuous on a first viewing, but actually introduces 2 crucial plot devices to the series lore. We open with Boomer and Brady jumping out of a hot air balloon in the hopes of gliding down like flying squirrels. However, they realize that they're free-falling helplessly to the ground. The show in the past has raised the question of how Brady and Boomer are so durable.
How do you guys even survive those kinds of falls?
Let's do some science here. The internet dubiously claims that both actors are 5'8" and weigh 150 pounds, or 68.04 kilograms. Let's just go with it. The force of gravity, as we all know, is 5.8 meters per second squared. They were in free fall for a collective 45 seconds, and they would have reached terminal velocity after 10 to 15 seconds, giving them a velocity of about 55 meters per second. If my calculations are correct, which they always are, the twins fell from a height of 32,576.2 feet, or 9,929.23 meters. As they collide with the ground, they go from 55 meters per second to 0 meters per second in, let's say, 20 milliseconds, or 0.02 seconds, giving us a deceleration rate of 2,750 meters per second squared. Force equals mass times acceleration, as I'm sure you realize, so 68.04 kilograms times 2,750 meters per second squared means Brady and Boomer each survived an estimated impact of 187,106.98 newtons of force. For context, it takes like 4,000 newtons to break a bone. What's even more impressive is that Mitchel Musso and Doc Shaw actually filmed this stunt practically and did really survive 187,106.98 newtons of force. This was the very first time I had to use a physics equation since I learned them in high school 7 years ago. I'm really glad that we had a whole curriculum on how particle accelerators work instead of learning how to pay taxes. The legendary King Tree has blossomed, which means it's time for Brady and Boomer to face a series of trials to prove their worthiness. Unfortunately, they're completely incompetent and fail all of their training. We don't get any elaboration on what a king tree is. Running out of time before the trials, the group decides to cheat, and they travel to a dirt fairy in order to use his magic dust to swap Brady and Boomer's minds with 2 talented guards. Lanny shows up, and this is all the explanation we get as to how he's here.
Lanny, how did you know?
I know everything.
Ruh-roh, the dust gets spilled prematurely, causing all 4 of our main characters to have a premature botched body swap. Michaela is now inside Brady with co-control of his body, and Lanny is now inside Boomer with co-control of his body.
Lanny? What are you doing? I'm not practicing stabbing you, that's for sure.
At the trials, the Kings basically just do a survivor puzzle in a coliseum. We're told that planks are disappearing every 15 seconds, and then it takes like 30 seconds per plank. Next, Lanny defeats a legendary knight while trying to kill Brady, and finally, the kings have to look at themselves in a mirror and answer honestly regarding what they see. They admit that they see cheaters who couldn't really pass the trials on their own. Turns out that's just what the island wanted to hear.
You can't cheat when it comes to integrity. You guys have a lot of potential and the island knows it.
Blasted from the fires of Mount Spew are 2 rewards for Brady and Boomer. Their legendary king rings, which are said to possess special powers. In the end, Michaela confesses to Mason that she cheated.
You know, honesty is the greatest challenge for a daughter.
What? High School Musical is canon to the Pair of Kings universe.
We are all in this together. You know, I've heard this before, but in song and more inspirational.
The Clash of the Kings Marathon is crowned with an epic 2-part event that will change King Cow forever.
It's the end of the world!
The Clash of the Kings Marathon comes to a shocking end. You don't have to do this. It's a special 2-part event that reveals who is destined to sit on the throne of the dark side. Chaos reigns on an unforgettable brand new 2-part Pair of Kings. Monday night at 8:30, 7:30 Central on Disney XD.
And now we reach our season climax. The Evil King, parts 1 and 2. We open with the gang watching Candace's new gossip show, in which a King Cow-wide poll has declared that Boomer is the most popular king, something which starts sowing a rift between the brothers. This is interrupted by the presence of a double moon, a historic occurrence which indicates evil could rise. Boomer and Brady's king rings, which now prove important after getting introduced in what seemed like a random throwaway episode, unlock a secret passageway behind the portrait of their parents. Inside, they find the ghost of the very first king of King Cow, Malachi, who warns them that an evil king is about to rise. We learn that his co-king, Calikai, became evil and he invented the dark side.
My brother invented the dark side.
I like how he phrases this as if the dark side is a gadget put together with wrenches and screws. Also, we already heard that Zadok brought the dark side of the island to life.
Brought the dark side jungle to life. Right? Everything he touched turned evil.
So I'm struggling to see how these aren't explicitly contradictory. Did Calikai just decrease the luminosity of half the island and then Zadok spawned life in it? Because that doesn't make sense. The kings conduct a twin-terrogation to root out an evil twin on the island, including a squonk whose twin brother is a human dentist. Brady claims to not like dentists, despite speaking positively of dentists earlier in the season. After everyone passes their test, they start to become concerned that one of them is the evil twin. Michaela has a very strange dream that Brady has a beard and she almost kisses him. Then she wakes up.
Oh, it's just a dream. Why would I kiss Brady? I don't even like him. Do I?
Awesome dialogue. She starts freaking out and questioning if she has feelings for Brady, confiding in her best friend Candace along the way. You'd think she would know by now, considering she's kissed him on the cheek twice. The kings learn of Calicai's evil castle, so they go on an adventure to find it, led by their king rings. If someone evil sits on the throne, the moon will turn red. Evil, as we all know, can be judged as a moral absolute. Lanny follows along at the encouragement of Yamakoshi, who suggests Lanny himself might be the evil twin.
There's enough evil in you for 2 people.
Inside, both kings sit on the throne, and the moon remains unchanged. They decide to leave, though their relationship is contentious due to Brady's jealousy over the poll result. That's when Lanny sneaks into the castle. The moon doesn't turn red for him either, but we end on an incredible cliffhanger, as we discover a character we've followed since the very beginning has been the evil King Calikai all along.
Get this fishbowl off my butt.
In part 2, the kings see the red moon and become convinced it must have been a delayed reaction and that one of them is evil. Now the two of them start fighting, and squonk is also used as a verb.
You better not squonk on my shoes.
I feel like the wind is let out of the sails here when the audience already knows neither of them are evil. We, the audience, are 10 steps ahead of the main characters throughout this whole episode. Calikai explains that Malachi turned him into a fish, and now he needs the king rings to destroy the light side and ruin his brother's legacy. Lanny is sent to poke Brady with an evil thorn, causing him to grow a beard and attack Boomer to take his king ring. This episode keeps making fun of a child's physical appearance, which is cool.
But you did get two really super bushy, sinister eyebrows.
I already had those. New plan.
Pluck your eyebrows.
My eyebrows are fine!
Michaela grapples with her confused feelings for Brady.
A kiss is a magical thing. It can change lives, break spells. It woke Sleeping Beauty, didn't it?
Who's Sleeping Beauty?
Yeah, that explains so much.
Boomer gets a pep talk from Malachi that gives him the confidence to hunt Brady down.
Get in here! Come in, Your Majesty!
He also discovers that the poll results were made up, adding Pair of Kings to the list of Disney Channel sitcoms to take a satirical anti-media stance.
Do you realize you turned my brother and me against each other?
Stop blaming the media and take some responsibility for yourself.
Boomer, Mason, and Michaela, but no other guards or military for some reason, track down the evil castle and embark on a Mario Galaxy level to find it. Lanny hides behind a throne to avoid detection, while evil Brady attacks everyone. That's when Michaela kisses him on the lips to snap him out of his evil trance. The fake studio audience cheers. Brady's restored. Then the kings make up and use their king rings to defeat Calikai and plunge him into the river below. With Brady and Michaela's relationship seeming to finally make real progress for the first time, I can't wait to see how this will play out in season 3. We close with Lanny sadly lamenting the loss of his beloved Yamakoshi. But that's when the fish finds his way back to the castle and leaps inside of Lanny's fishbowl, declaring that the two of them will continue plotting against the kings. But despite that ending, we actually never see Yamakoshi again. In my opinion,
The Evil King. It was the season 2 two-part finale. When we find out who the Evil King is, Yamakoshi, my fish, was such a big part of the storyline. And yeah, I just really loved that episode. I remember like Calikai and Malachi, the actor who played them, he was really cool. And obviously Brady and Michaela end up kissing for the first time. It was just a really felt like a big season finale.
The season ends with a cool down episode called Let the Clips Show, in which Boomer and Brady get put on trial after being blamed for an explosion that destroyed the castle. Regular-ass construction workers rebuild the castle, and we learn that the chief elder went to
King Cow Community College.
This ends up being an uncomfortably prophetic episode. We watch a clip show in the Lord's year 2011, as the Stone of Truth shows the memories of the main cast. Near the story's end, Brady is blamed for the castle's destruction, and he is to be stripped of kinghood and sent away to the dungeon.
I sentence King Brady to life.
Boomer does not want to be king without Brady, and he ultimately uses the Stone of Truth to prove that the parrot from the season premiere was responsible for blowing up the castle, and Brady is exonerated. Boomer and Brady celebrate that they'll get to remain co-kings for the foreseeable future. And this is the final episode of Pair of Kings to feature Mitchel Musso. We also see the vase's memories in the Stone of Truth, indicating that the vase is somehow alive, and that the writers are really proud of this joke.
New season of Pair of Kings.
This is what I'm talking about.
Things get hairier.
You guys just started a war.
Slimier.
Danger does make things more delicious.
And messier.
We're not the guys for that job.
With more twists.
I will throw both of you in the volcano.
And a new king.
Maybe this was a mistake.
Will these boys lose control?
Every king for sale!
You're giving me king out?
Don't miss a second of the new season of Pair of Kings. Brand new, Monday night at 8:30, 7:30 Central on Disney XD.
On October 17th, 2011, Mitchel Musso was pulled over by traffic cops in Burbank, California. He failed a sobriety test and blew above the legal limit on a breathalyzer. Being below the legal drinking age at 20, Musso was charged with a DUI and released on a bail of $5,000. Following this, Disney swiftly dropped him from Pair of Kings and canceled his series Prank Stars, which I remember being obsessed with and incredibly sad when it ended after 6 episodes. Musso remained the voice of Jeremy in Phineas and Ferb, and I've always questioned why that was allowed given they'd broadcasted the hell out of his involvement on the network.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Mitchel Musso, and I play Jeremy in Disney Channel's original series, Phineas and Ferb.
Almost 2 months after the DUI on December 12th, 2011, Disney announced a 3rd season of Pair of Kings was greenlit, and that Musso would not be a part of the season, replaced instead by Adam Hicks, who was coming off 3 seasons of Zeke and Luther, as well as a slew of other successful projects. He's also the guy that went to prison for armed robbery, but that came later. In a world where Hollywood celebrities have the most insane behavior casually swept under the rug without consequence, the fact that Disney fired Musso immediately is almost refreshing and frankly surprising, because they'd invested heavily across the past several years to build him up as a major star. Of course, it probably had more to do with maintaining their optics as a family-friendly brand than any pronounced moral indictment of his actions. While I think firing Musso was the right call, I will not deny, and in fact I will proclaim, that Pair of Kings drastically suffered as a result. It's time for one last 2-part season premiere. The New King Part 1, Destiny's Child, premiered on June 8th, 2012.
I am most looking forward to them seeing the first episode because it sets up everything. It sets up everything in a way that if you miss the first episode, you got to go back and look at it before you look at any of the other episodes, because it won't lock you in and it won't help you with the mythology as to how Boz came to be. It's very important. You gotta watch the June 18th. Gotta be there, be square. If you ain't there, you gotta be somewhere else, but you can't be nowhere else but in front of the TV watching this. Get it online, iTunes, whatever you gotta do.
Candace stumbles upon Michaela and asks her to spill the tea about her kiss with Brady, while a conspicuously over-the-shoulder Brady listens on through the bushes.
The word is that you said you're never going to date King Brady because he's too immature and he'll never grow up as long as he's king of this island.
What? I didn't say that.
So are you denying that's how you feel?
Well,
Ha! You hesitated. Hesitation's confirmation.
Brady overhears this, packs a bag, and leaves behind a letter with his king ring in the middle of the night. We never see Brady again. The next morning, everyone reacts in shock at the revelation that Brady is missing.
One down, one to go!
In this episode, there's no theme song, only a dramatic logo.
Dear Boom, I've decided I'm not suited to be king anymore. If I want to be the man I need to be, I have a lot of growing up to do, and I can't do it here.
A lot of growing up to do is basically one-to-one with Musso's online statements at the time of the DUI, where he said, "In becoming an adult, I have learned firsthand that stepping up and taking responsibility is the best way to move forward." I want you to imagine the leader of your country's government saying, "Sorry guys, I have a lot of growing up to do," and just leaving your nation. It's kind of what Nixon did if you think about it.
This is something I need to do alone. You are the stronger king, Boomer. You always have been. You're going to do great. I love you, bro. Brady.
Michaela realizes that Brady must have overheard her and Candace last night and left. Michaela, let's be clear, has called him far worse, sternly, in resoundingly certain terms, on countless occasions. But we're intended to believe that this time, he was so put off by it that he up and left the island. Realizing Brady stole a hot air balloon, Boomer attempts to pursue, only to be cut off by a massive storm that forces everyone to bunker down in the castle. Now, after only like 20 minutes without Brady, the head elder proposes a theory that Brady was never a king of legend. From an outside perspective, obviously Mitchel Musso is never coming back, but thinking about it from the character's perspective, it's really funny the sense of finality they're discussing this with, as if there's zero chance Brady could ever return to the island of King Cow under any circumstance.
Brady's work is done here on island.
I want to remind the court that Boomer has a fucking time machine. He could use it any time, but now he doesn't. Mason starts to have an existential crisis that he was wrong about the Kings of Legend.
All the signs pointed to brothers.
Storm points to you being wrong. You're wrong a lot. Wrong again, wrong guy.
After the storm, a ship is wrecked on the shore of King Cow beyond the castle courtyard. A group of survivors emerge from the island nation of Mindu, which sank during the storm. Their teenage king Boz introduces himself to Boomer, asks for refuge for his people on King Cow, and turns out to be just as much of a quirky troublemaker as Boomer and Brady. They jovially reference a couple past episodes together.
If you would have said no, you'd have nowhere to go. What, to the island of Sununu? Heck no. Those girls are mean.
Definitely not cornea. Who wants that third eye always staring at you?
The episode Boomer just mentioned was about him learning that a person's true value is on the inside and bullying based on physical appearance is mean. But it seems he forgot the primary lesson of that episode. The Chief Elder is blown away to discover the King Cow swirl birthmark on Boz's chest. We're told that Boomer and Brady supposedly have one just like it, information we're only learning now. Upon learning this, the Chief Elder and Mason inform Boomer of a secret they've kept from him the entire time.
Wait, who was that?
King Boomer, you and Brady are not twins. You are triplets.
Boz was lost in a storm 17 years ago, marking Boomer as 17 years old. Their parents were so devastated that they made a law no one was ever to speak of Boz again. Remember when Boomer and Brady were presented with a scroll revealing which of them was born first in the first season's finale? Imagine if they had opened it and discovered the existence of Boz all the way back then. Boomer toils away, not willing to accept a new brother, and surely filling the role of the audience surrogate.
I mean, we were in this thing together, and he just leaves a note and takes off without talking to me?
That's a reasonable thing to be upset about, but it's also just so wildly out of character to imply Brady would even do it. The writers were dealt a losing hand here, and there is absolutely nothing they could have done. Michaela struggles with the fact that she was falling for Brady.
Maybe I was falling for him. I don't know. I mean, I was confused. I still am confused.
Boomer brushes Boz off and tells him he's not worthy of the King Ring. We learn that before the King and Queen of Mindu found him, Boz was raised by apes until he was 10. Boz being part monkey is relevant in basically every single episode going forward. And that starts to make sense when you realize that all of Adam Hicks' personal merch around that time was monkey themed.
Ah, those are my birth parents, aren't they? It's like looking in a mirror.
That's the only reason why I'm believing all of this.
Michaela, racked with guilt, sets off on her own. The King set off after her, only to find her in the clutches of, holy shit, Optimus Primal's in this show as well. That's a huge get. Boomer is apparently a G1er.
Go on! Get on the next balloon and just leave! Yeah, you heard me. And don't put any of this on her, or she shouldn't be feeling guilty. This is on you and no one else. So you can go, grow up, or do whatever it is you have to do. I'm not gonna make you stay. You hear me, Brady? I'm letting you go. So go on. Go. Go! Go!
I don't even know what to say about this. Boomer went through the 5 stages of grief in one day, just accepting that his brother leaving via hot air balloon is permanent, and he will never see him again. I have to assume there is some element of the writers venting frustration with Musso here for blowing up their premise, because this doesn't even necessarily feel like organic or sensible dialogue to give Boomer. As Optimus Primal returns to attack, Boz runs out of the bushes for some reason, even though he was just standing by Michaela in the previous shot, and speaks ape to calm Primal down until he leaves. We end with Boz moving into Brady's room. It hasn't even been 24 hours since Brady left. Although Boomer gives Boz the King Ring, it's swiftly stolen by a bat and delivered to the Joker, who has apparently joined the Tarantula people. Continuing Boz's introduction to the island is The New King Part 2, The Brofessor and Marianne, in which we meet a tarantula person who's woke.
New king, not no island. Strike now.
Duh. And stop speaking in chopped up sentences, Dad. It's embarrassing.
Old ways keep tribe strong.
Old ways keep tribe lame.
Chat, is this etymologically accurate? Their culture is to intentionally speak English incorrectly? Is that Hibachi and the head elder's culture too? Marianne here plans to make the new king fall in love with her and then destroy him. I'm not sure why making him fall in love with her is really necessary to her plan here, but I love her ambition. As Mason oversees rebuilding the courtyard, both kings fall in love with Marianne and decide that neither of them shall date her for this reason. But Boomer gets seduced and decides to date her anyways. Lanny eagerly informs Boz of this treachery. And then the brothers start fighting at Boz's coronation. This is like day 2 of them knowing each other. So the kings decide they're no longer friends after that kerfuffle. In this episode, we learn that Boomer is a skilled ballerina. This is a fact we're only learning 1,043 minutes into knowing the character. When Marianne leads Boomer to a pretty waterfall, she reveals she's an evil tarantula person and throws Boz's king ring over the ledge. Luckily, Boz arrives just in time and the fake studio audience fucking loves it. Boz shatters his ankle during the rescue, establishing that he is vastly less durable than Brady because this wasn't even remotely close to 187,106.98 newtons of force. The brothers make up because Boz says only someone I truly care about could hurt me that much.
Only someone I truly care about could hurt me that much.
And that's our sweet moment. Can you imagine becoming best friends with someone after having a blowout like this on hour 48? Boomer is not required to apologize for betraying the bro code. And now he uses his ballerina skills to fight off all of the tarantula people. This is basically a verbatim retread of the very late game Sweet Life on Deck episode Snakes on a Boat, which revealed that Mr. Mosby is a skilled ballerina. A fact we only learned 3,485 minutes into knowing that character. And he used those skills during the climax to wrangle up a bunch of snakes. After the kings win, Marianne vows revenge. Boz is finally coronated. And with that, Pair of Kings sets off one last season with a new premise and a new lease on life, which aired 22 episodes from June 18th, 2012 to February 18th, 2013.
Top of the world, we're at the top of the world. We're in the building, so people come put your hands up. Top of the world, we're at the top of the world. Me and my homie, yeah, baby, we taking over. Top of the world, we're at the top of the world. Destiny chose us to rule. Hard to believe, but it's true. Yeah, we're so sick with it, we're so sick with it. We gon' rock this throne, let the kingdom come, yeah. At the top of the world, at the top of the world. We are brothers, kings to the island singing. At the top of the world, we're at the top of the world.
The selection of clips of each progressive theme song have gotten worse. The introduction of Boz and elimination of Brady naturally leads to a very different viewing experience than the first 2 seasons offered. Season 3 treats Brady like Voldemort, he who shall not be named or even mentioned. Even in an episode where Boomer and Boz celebrate their birthday together, Brady isn't acknowledged in any capacity. The show loses its regular flashback cutaways to Chicago. The show never explains if Aunt May or Uncle Ben have been informed that Brady's gone missing on Mason's watch. I'm sure they would like to know. The incredibly rare, fleeting references to Brady are all contained within the final 6 episodes, but they go out of their way to conceal his face.
Brady and I conquered the bunny slopes.
Basically, Brady is now like Ned from the Try Guys. He was never here, what are you talking about? You can't go to any Pair of Kings related comment section without seeing hundreds of people proclaim that they stopped watching after Musso's firing. I missed this show. As soon as Mitchell left, I rarely watched. Missed this show so much, and I hate how they fired Brady. Adam's great, but not for Pair of Kings. It's difficult to replace Mitchell. We all loved him. I also see Mitchel Musso truthers who are like, no, he wasn't fired due to the DUI. He chose to leave to focus on his music career. And it's like, are you stupid? Where is said music career? I am 64 years old, and I just loved Pair of Kings. I was heartbroken when Disney dropped Brady. Wish they would do reruns of Pair of Kings. Come in, Disney. Enough is enough. Put it back for us diehard fans. We have waited long enough. That's not real. A fucking 12-year-old wrote that.
There's a new king in town. You and Brady are not twins. You are triplets.
I have a brother? I have so many questions. What can I tell you about the new king? He's smart. I was raised by apes. Handsome. Who's saying that? Brave. Please don't eat me. Speaks multiple languages. And he's good with his feet.
Adam Hicks is now on Pair of Kings. The new season premieres Monday, June 18th on Disney XD.
I'm the new king.
You know, for me, it was definitely interesting. I mean, I was a teenager. I really built such a strong bond with Mitchel, who I'm still friends with to this day. We've actually got some cool things coming up together. But Adam, you know, really made the transition for us really easy too, because I actually, and for me especially, because I worked with him prior on Zeke and Luther. I did an episode with him, so I already had like a friendship with him as well. But he's just such a great actor. His comedic timing is very different, I feel like, from Mitchel's. So it brought a new dynamic to the show. And obviously, Doc Shaw ended up becoming the series lead, the show lead. And he was just, I mean, I like to say he's just, you know, he knows comedy inside and out. He is so funny, and I'm still always saying, you know, King Boomer quotes from the show to this day. But yeah, the transition was insane. Obviously, you know, everyone loved Mitchel, and it was hard for a lot of people too. But it was for me. I just really liked. I just really focused on making sure the growth of my character of Lanny, you know, continued to grow, and the fans of the show kind of grew with Lanny as well.
Boz, as a character, is largely the same guy as Brady in broad strokes. It wouldn't even surprise me if they had some season 3 scripts ready to go and just Control-F'd Brady into Boz and added some monkey jokes. All of the characters immediately start acting like they've been friends with Boz for a long time.
I thought you guys were better friends.
What are you talking about? We're brothers. We're best friends.
Not you two, us. I thought we were all better friends.
That said, Adam Hicks' sense of comedy is very different, and that goes a way to make Boz feel distinct from Boomer. His backstory of being raised by monkeys also lets the show take advantage of the tropical jungle aspect of its premise in ways that it didn't before. Boz is, at least at the time of his introduction, different from Brady in the fact that he can't stand Michaela and refuses to look at her.
I am sorry, but this Michaela looks like my ex-girlfriend. From now on, I officially do not like you. I'll go see your show if you can make Michaela disappear.
Aren't you a witty little monkey?
The good news is that Brady pining over Michaela is gone, reduced to atoms. Between that and 2 lead characters who feel more distinct, everything on paper points towards season 3 being an improvement. But in execution, season 3 is by far the weakest, and that seems to be the universally accepted opinion of the fandom, in air quotes. Changing the lore so abruptly feels laughably awkward, and I frankly can't think of any way they could have made the departure of Mitchel Musso feel organic other than just canceling the series. The only redeeming factor is, by sheer luck, that the Lady of the Cave seemed to express skepticism at a portrait of Brady and Boomer being the kings of legend back in season 2.
I'll believe it when I see it.
This joke takes on an unintended meaning and almost salvages the lore. The introduction of Boz creates ripple effects throughout the series. There's now a boat crashed outside the castle and visible beyond the courtyard at all times. And the redesigned courtyard features the king cow swirl at its epicenter, among other changes.
And we also added just like different things like the monkey emblem up there to make Boz's character feel more welcomed on King Cow.
Beyond a cosmetic level, all of our main characters undergo changes in response to Boz's presence. Boomer, to put it bluntly, starts to take on all of Brady's asshole-ish qualities. I think they didn't want to introduce a new character the audience would be skeptical of and make him a jerk. So as a result, all of the unlikable behavior is always given to Boomer in this season, and it starts to paint him as antagonistic. Like it took 3 years for the power of being king to go to his head.
Michaela, be quiet, all right? We're trying to find clues as to why Brady left.
Boomer, by season 3, is clearly a full-grown man. The reason being that Doc Shaw was a full-grown man. Boz's disdain for Michaela creates a new role for her, which is that everyone is constantly rude to her in ways they really weren't before.
By the way, you're representing us, so do something with your hair. Yeah, more than that.
There were little hints of this starting to show themselves later in the second season, but now it's taken full swing. Instead of just Brady treating her poorly, it's all of her friends and family. And they aren't even in love with her. They'll insult her personality, her outfit, and most often, her appearance, in a way that feels really strange and mean-spirited.
Well, you need to drag a comb through your hair and put some lipstick on. Are you on my team or not?
I'm standing on H7. You want me to punch myself?
Whatever shut you up.
Were any of the guards over on the south side of the island last night?
Why, are you trying to find out who owns those sandals you're wearing?
Characters keep referring to Michaela as lanky in season 3.
My lanky daffodil? Your legs are way too long and you always shooting your mouth off.
It's like, at this point, that's just the writers commenting on the proportions of the actress. That's not even about the character. A massive part of Michaela's personality becomes the idea that she's a huge weirdo. And I think you can trace it back to her awkwardly dancing in the beach maggot episode from season 2.
Oh, I'm gonna get my CD of a mama whale giving birth set to a hillbilly jug band. You stay here and warm up.
Here, entire storylines revolve around the fact that Michaela's too socially out there to make any friends. There's a whole episode where Boomer's sick of Michaela being an awkward loser and tries to make her popular by inviting her on a King Cowan teen cruise. But she's too wacky and freaks everyone out.
No! Tabitha! I mean, nameless machete! Swim back to King Cowan, Tabitha! I will find you!
The trio meet some cool kids on this cruise who turn out to be amphibious creatures that attempt to feed them to a giant frog monster. And Michaela uses her combat training to get everyone out of there. The lesson is that her strength is in her combat prowess, not her social skills. But when the show started, she was completely socially competent and had many friends at school, including a whole friend group she'd chill with at the beach. Mason, who was stoic and respected in season 1, starts to become a punching bag in season 3.
My kings! You're ruining my coronation! I mean King Boz's coronation!
And his character revolves around this idea that he was wrong about the Kings of Legend. And now everyone makes fun of him for being wrong all the time.
I got a lot of blowback from that Kings of Legend fiasco, and even those Menduians are laughing behind my back.
We're all laughing behind your back, Mason.
Mason becomes goofy and quirky, and he basically becomes a target for the Kings to make fun of. Basically the typical devolution of all adult characters in Disney sitcoms. Season 3 introduces this idea that Mason talks way too much and it annoys everyone.
Just keep talking! It'll take his whole life!
The show tries to pretend he's out of shape. Mason?
Your Majesty, I got a spin class later.
Mason, no need to lie. We all know you haven't been to spin class in a year.
Basically, everything about Mason is just a joke now, and it's weird.
He's gonna start talking again. We should get out of here.
They're good, they're gone.
Now I can start talking in my real voice.
And Lanny probably undergoes the biggest transformation out of anyone. Obviously, he looks noticeably older between seasons. I've seen a lot of instances in these shows where the child actor aging completely ruins the dynamic of a character. Luckily, Lanny never really acted like a kid. He always behaved more as a manipulative, scheming adult. So Ryan Ochoa actually starting to look like an adult has a negligible impact on his character's presentation. But beyond physicality, his entire narrative purpose shifts. Lanny's attempts to kill the kings sort of became a one-trick pony.
I can't even get kinged in checkers.
Often his role seemed like more of an afterthought. He'd just give them maps and implore them to go somewhere dangerous that they usually wanted to go anyway. Off the top of my head, I can think of a lot more creative ways they could have tried to utilize him. Placing a bounty on their heads, assembling an army to defeat them, trying to freeze them in their cave. I feel like stories were developed around Boomer and Brady's antics, and Lanny was shoved in the cracks.
Hey, Tom, you got a bigger trap? I'm trying to catch a pair of kings!
Roll credits.
Lanny could probably be written out of half the episodes of the first 2 seasons, and nothing would really be impacted. But because of his scheme's sameness, his best roles were usually the ones that mixed up his formula, like him trying to help the kings bake their goulash to avoid being eaten. I think the writers took note of this, because an early episode of the 3rd season titled Oh Lanada gives his character a massive shot in the arm. Boomer and Boz stumble upon Lanny punching their faces in the woods and come to believe he's angry because Boz stole his banana muffins. So they decide to cheer him up by declaring him the ruler of a nearby abandoned island, which he calls Lanada. The story revolves around Boomer and Boz trying to steal back a gopher the shit's gold that's native to this island and is the source of all of King Cow's wealth, while Lanny and Michaela declare war on each other and prepare for a full-scale invasion.
Deport this creature.
Everybody stop! We got to go for Michaela.
Oh, that changes things.
The story ends with Lanny, alongside his dim-witted right-hand man Catawampus, remaining the ruler of his country. And going forward, Lanada features or is mentioned in basically every episode. Lanny's no longer scheming to hurt the kings. He's scheming to increase the power of his nation and sabotage King Cow. This allows him a wider variety of schemes with different goals in every episode.
Legend says she becomes angry and wreaks havoc on the island.
Island? Havoc? People would have to move to Lanada where taxes are high, prices are jacked, and one crafty little man profits.
While watching the show, I didn't even realize how badly Lanny needed a refresh until the show delivered it. And I think season 3 is him at his best.
How do you know about that? Because I'm everywhere.
Examples of Lanada stories include trying to steal all of King Cow's weapons, trying to stop tarantula person teenagers' loud parties next door, and digging an attack tunnel into the castle. Lanada quickly becomes worn down and miserable as Lanny mismanages his country and runs out of money.
We tried to call you, but it said your country's phone got disconnected. It's not easy running a fifth world nation.
Just due to his nature of trying to thwart them in the first 2 seasons, he always had to be flanking the kings and kind of got lost in their shadow. This shakeup allows Lanny to come into his own with his own recurring cast and lead subplots completely unencumbered by the rest of the characters. But beyond Lanada, season 3 stories are more of the same. Boomer gets addicted to King Cow in thumb wars and bets away the entire castle. An evil dentist, briefly seen last season, mind controls Boz with a blue tooth to take revenge on King Cow. And the ghost of Queen Uber Oogly turns the kings ugly as a form of karma after they turn down 2 goat girls based on their looks.
We don't even look that bad.
Michaela and Lanny get paired together a little more often, including a story where he tries to route her out to Mason when she breaks curfew, and a story where he blackmails her into attending a dance so he'll appear to have a date. There's an episode where Michaela quits working for the kings out of frustration with their antics. Their antics in question being injuring the head elder and causing him to make this series of facial expressions. Michaela picks up a job at a fast food joint called Fishy Burger.
Now it's up to the kings to save her from a fishy situation.
In an entire episode taking place here made me realize that there is a massive shift in the set design starting in season 3. Every interior structure in the first 2 seasons looks like a bamboo hut made with genuine materials you'd find on an island. Starting in season 3, buildings look really modern, like places you'd find in America, with just some minimal jungle theming scattered around. A really strange contrast gets created when the castle still has the design aesthetic of the first season, but all of the new locations getting introduced have a completely different vibe and feel. Some more thrilling adventures of the pair of kings include Boz rescuing a baby seemingly abandoned on the dark side, which turns out to be the evil child of a tarantula shaman. His abduction leads to a war between the light side and the dark side, before the kids are able to stealthily return the baby. Boomer tries to make a speech about how it's actually okay that Boz stole the baby, and everything's fine.
It doesn't matter how your baby went missing. The important thing is that my co-king brought him back.
The episode was called 2 Kings and a Devil Baby when it aired, but the pussies on Disney Plus renamed it 2 Kings and a Super Bad Baby. The great Jiki Kiki is important for the first time since the series premiere, in an episode called Dancing with the Scars, where we learn that every 100 years, the statue comes to life and judges a contest between the 2 best dancers. Okay. Michaela manages to win. Jiki Kiki turns back into a statue right in front of the door, and I'm wondering how the hell they moved this heavy-ass stone thing back to the podium. In Yeti Set Snow, the kings come across a clan of Yetis in the mountain while snowboarding. Boomer tricks them and converts their home into a ski resort, while Boz sides with them to defend their home from industrialization. Mason and Michaela get back in touch with their Squatch roots. We make a classic reference to the Berlin Wall, which children in 2013 fucking loved.
King Boss, tear down this wall.
Whoa, a female. The legends are true. They do exist.
If women don't exist in Yeti culture, then this whole species has to be gay as fuck!
Why would you say that, little girl?
I will turn you into a rug.
In one episode, the kings reunite Mason with his ex-flame to get him off their back. his ex being a Rapunzel spoof named Patricia. Can you guess the gag here? She turns out to be completely insane, and Mason dumped her because she was evil.
You owe me a date, and I am not taking no for an answer this time.
This is like exactly how Brady treated Michaela, but he wasn't crazy or evil, he was charming and funny. For some reason, of the increasingly few women antagonists in the show, every single one is a love interest for the male characters. Marianne, trying to seduce the Kings. The mermaids, trying to seduce the Kings. Sabrina, trying to seduce Brady. The Fountain of Youth, run by Boomer and Brady's dates. Even Boomer's tarantula person landlord flirted with Mason. Women characters who exist completely detached from romance have to be love interests. Old Hag is married. Brady comments on Candace being cute. Lady of the Cave was obsessed with Mason.
Lady of the Cave!
And it explains why there's no man of the cave.
Even the Squonk Queen has a suitor.
Stop showing her, she's mine.
I've realized that in this entire 69 episode series, there are only 3 women who aren't love interests. A ghost named June, a ghost named Queen Oogly, and Tessa, who was a loser. I know Disney XD was intended to be watched by boys, but this is going above and beyond any realistic network requirement, because no other XD series I've covered had this issue at all. This group of writers, for whatever reason, was incapable of imagining women characters without making them a flirt or a seductress or love-crazed or a crazy ex, even when those details had absolutely no bearing on the plot or their narrative function. And it kind of paints a really strange picture.
What could possibly distract Miss? We'll be happy.
Women.
In the episode Heart and Troll, Boz invites his evil ex-girlfriend to King Cow.
No! Things get brutal on a savage new pair of kings.
That's gonna leave a mark.
Pair of Kings, brand new next Monday night at 8:30, 7:30 Central on Disney XD.
We open with Boz calling his uncle Caesar, foreshadowing Doc Shaw's role in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. He's thrown into a panic when his ex Sasha sends an email bragging about how great her life is. She was named Queen of Teeny Keeny due to being the most gorgeous woman on the island. Boomer suggests that Boz return brag about the fact he's now co-king of King Cow, and so they open a Zoom call. In light of Boz insisting Michaela looks like his ex, I was expecting the show to retread the actor playing 2 characters idea from The X Factor. But they take a better approach, which is that she doesn't even look remotely like Michaela, something all the other characters are confused about. Boz and Sasha trade blows, and Boz starts lying about his life on King Cow.
I have a girlfriend.
We have the prettiest sunsets.
Well, King Cow has a chocolate river.
I have a pet dolphin.
I have a pet Sasquatch.
I have a unicorn.
When Sasha asks to visit the island, he immediately agrees and forces everyone to fill their roles per the lies he told. Michaela plays his girlfriend, Boomer poses as a lowly assistant, and Mason is forced to play the role of a domesticated house pet Sasquatch. No one is particularly happy about this turn of events. Boz and Sasha immediately get back together, but Boomer learns that it's all a ploy. Sasha and her real boyfriend, Morris, are simply trying to rob the vault.
What if they find out that you're not really a queen and that we're a couple?
Great dialogue. Ever since the haircut story, Lanny's been mistaken for a troll in almost every episode. This is the culmination of that joke, in which Lanny refuses to play along as the magic wish-granting troll per Boz's lie. Over on Lanada, he funds a high-speed rail system to King Cow called Land Track.
It will move commuters from Lanada to King Cow.
During construction, he gets injured in the precisely correct way to resemble a troll. Morris and Sasha decide they're going to harness his wish for evil purposes. Sometimes when you're constructing a story, you need to justify why a king and commander wouldn't bring any of his countless armed guards to a scenario like this. A good writer will just decide, Kiefer Gore.
Where are the guards?
Got a little excited in a moment.
I'll be right back.
Sometimes when constructing a narrative, you need to justify how 2 characters could learn about information that they naturally wouldn't come across. A good writer will just decide, they're told by accident.
So what are you gonna do about that?
If I was a betting man, I'd say she's gonna tie us to these train tracks and wait for your train to come to squeeze a wish out of you.
I was asking her.
Sasha and Morris decide to run Boomer and the Troll over with the land track rocket train to kill them. Boz arrives to tell Sasha off, and Mason saves the day just in the nick of time by lifting the track. The moral of the story is that Boz shouldn't have gotten back with his ex. Not that calling her and trying to make her jealous was a bad thing to do. Going forward, Boz and Michaela are on completely good terms.
We look nothing alike.
You know, when she whines like that, I can kind of see it.
Sasha and Morris, like every single side character in the series, are completely flat and one note, and is part of what makes this entire show a really dull slog to sit through. Putting this retrospective together, I watched Ryan Ochoa's guest appearance in one Zeke and Luther episode. There, with one appearance, a fully formed character is created who feels like he has a life outside of the scenes he's in. This comes down to the writing. You get a sense of who he is, who he'd like to hang out with, how he spends his time off screen.
That is a lot of potato salad, and I'm wondering where you got it.
You sure ask a lot of questions.
Contrast that with Sasha, or the head elder, or Patricia, or Zadok, and there's just nothing tangible materializing on screen that makes these feel like actual people. They're all just flat archetypes who only exist to serve the scenes they're in. None of them are really characters. To this note, despite Boz and Boomer being delusionally confident most of the time, an entire episode revolves around the idea that Boomer and Boz have absolutely no self-confidence. WWE wrestler Mike the Miz Mizzinen guest stars as a sponge monster who feeds off confidence. His muscles get their own sound effects. The episode's profound moral lesson is that the Kings have to work up the courage to basically just bully him.
Your brain's so small you thought a quarterback was a refund. Stop laughing!
This is another example of Boomer, and now Boz, like Brady before him, being completely malleable from story to story. There is no internal consistency because they aren't really characters, they're poorly defined walking archetypes. An uncomfortable thing about Boz's monkey backstory is that we get feet humor. There was a little bit creeping into the second season, including a monster who licked Brady's smelly feet. But season 3 goes off the rails. Boz is often barefoot, and we get constant close-ups of his toes. We see him eat with his feet. We see gunk on his feet. There's an incredible quantity of shots that trigger fight or flight reactions, and I'm gonna make you look at all of them.
Toe fruit. The forbidden fruit.
Punch, mamacita? Porcha?
Don't mind if I do.
See, the secret is, I mash it between my toes.
It's easy to look at this in light of the Dan Schneidering and have a terrible read on it. I've noticed that Gen Z likes to claim every random clip with something slightly DeviantArt-ish is a horrible fetish the writers are trying to inflict on their audience. And I do roll my eyes at that a lot. Like, just because you're an unhinged weirdo whose mind goes there doesn't mean that every show's writer is. We, and maybe younger millennials, are the only generations conditioned to see this and think it's inherently sexual in nature. The fucking 40-year-olds who wrote this just put it in because this is what makes young kids laugh. It's what focus group tests well. Maybe it doesn't anymore, I don't know. Also uptaking in this third season is the amount of gross out and potty humor, which was always present to an already above average degree in the first 2 seasons, but seems to be vastly more pronounced in the presence of Boz and his monkey origin story.
Log rolled in mud and shaped like poop? Let's eat.
I am loving your gas.
Is this about my earwax museum? Because I decided to turn my shame into art. I call this one the stinker. I keep my farts in test tubes for science.
The one with the booger on it is the left.
Left?
The vase gag also continues in full swing during the third season.
We're gonna be careful.
How would you like it if I just showed up where you were living and started destroying it?
Is that really what you want to go with?
The season's 8th episode, I Know What You Did Last Sunday, sees Boz get blackmailed by the kid from Jesse, a child from Mindu who seems to know a dark secret. We learn the truth. During this storm, Boz searched desperately for a bunker to hide in, but accidentally pulled a massive drain plug. Boz was single-handedly responsible for sinking the island of Mindu. Candace tries to break this story. She claims to be the only show on the island, even though we previously saw a show in Journey to the Center of Mount Spew. Ultimately, Boz decides to confess his secret himself.
Okay, so my brother sank your crazy floating island, but he did it while he was trying to save you. But we all make mistakes.
Boz gets off completely scot-free after sinking his fucking nation, and no one objects as this little child from Jesse gets dragged away by guards to be thrown in the dungeon. In a rare episode to acknowledge Brady, and one of the last of the season, Loathe Potion number 9, Boomer becomes suspicious of budding romantic feelings between Boz and Michaela. Monkey see, monkey do. This is Boomer at his most asshole-ish, and basically a recreation of the poetry episode where Brady attempted to keep Boomer and Michaela apart. Boomer uses an anti-love potion to make Michaela and Boz hate each other. They soon realize they were manipulated, but he spills his heart out and reveals he's getting worried that Boz, being into Michaela, might eventually cause him to leave the way Brady did.
I just didn't want you all to get close, all right? I didn't want Boz to end up leaving King Cow like Brady did. I couldn't take losing another brother, all right? It hurts too much. So what do you guys say? Do you forgive me?
Despite insisting to Optimus Primal in the season premiere that this is not Michaela's fault, it's on Brady.
Don't put any of this on her. This is on you and no one else.
In this episode, Boomer blames Michaela for making Brady leave and thinks she'll do the same to Boz.
But you do something to my brothers that turn them into goofballs.
We're only introduced to the castle's dining room in episode number 64. This episode seems to end with the implication of Michaela and Boz being attracted to each other, and then this story thread is never followed up on again. The third season has 6 keystone episodes scattered throughout, which build towards a back-to-back-to-back-to-back 4-part arc that wraps up the series. Bond of Brothers is the aforementioned birthday episode, in which Boomer and Boz once again enjoy birthday wishes that come true and last until midnight. Boomer's girlfriend Rebecca's visiting after a 36-episode absence, and Boomer wishes for the island to be safe and danger-free for the day so nothing can ruin their date like last time. Boomer has enjoyed rampant infidelity with like 9 trillion different women within these 36 episodes. But that's okay, we forgive him.
We have tried to date plenty of freaky girls.
Rebecca arrives and gives Boomer a photo of their first day meeting as a birthday gift. Boz starts to feel left out when his brother is spending his birthday with someone else, so he wishes for him and Boomer to be closer.
I wish to be as close to Boomer as 2 brothers can be. Well, you could just call me the king of romance.
In this episode, the birthday wishes act as a strange monkey paw, whereas they did not before. What follows is a sauceless clone of Phineas and Ferb episode 302B, Canderemy, as Boomer and Boz have to hide from Rebecca the fact that they're connected by the hip. Every masterpiece has its pale imitation. It's worth noting that there's no real reason why Boomer couldn't just tell her, hey, sorry, some weird magic happened. His urgency to keep this a secret doesn't make a ton of sense. The Phineas and Ferb version had way more obvious and competently communicated stakes. Lanny suggests Boomer take Rebecca on a date to Lightning Grove and hires tarantula people as violinists. Under the wish that the island is safe and danger-free, the tarantula person race as a whole becomes peaceful and pacifistic because, and I cannot stress this enough, their race is evil.
Sparks will fly. Especially after midnight. I even got you some watches so you don't lose track of time.
Well, thanks, guys.
Clearly there was a narrative need for the twins to tell the time, and so watches became the solution. But why, from Lanny's perspective, would he have given them watches? This whole show is just a strung together sequence of characters acting in ways that don't make sense for them to act so the plot can happen. There are comic hijinks as a conjoined Boz hides in a bush. Riveting chemistry is on display.
Don't you feel a
yawn coming on?
Michaela has taken the day off to relax and she watches Twilight in the King's bedroom, because her bedroom set from season 2 has been demolished by now. At the stroke of 12, Boomer and Boz are disconnected, but tarantula people attack and lightning starts raining down. Chaos ensues. This episode, and this episode only, allude to Boomer only being a nickname, but don't elaborate.
Boomer's just a nickname. My real name is... Hey, look, it's Mason.
In the end, Rebecca's upset that her date was ruined, but Boz talks her into staying, apparently, off-screen. Boomer apologizes for not spending time with his brother on his birthday, even though I think his spending time with his long-distance partner during the limited window of time she was on the island was also completely reasonable. This episode's stance really is that Boomer's long-term girlfriend, by default, should be less important to him than this guy Boz who we met like 6 months ago. The episode King vs. Wild sees Boz kidnap Boomer in his sleep and bring him on a non-consensual camping trip, where they have to survive a monster in the woods called the Midnight Snacker. But the B plot is the only part that matters. Michaela, for no discernible reason, puts Boz's king ring on her toe. The king ring magically protects itself and becomes impossible to remove. She realizes she needs the blood of a royal, i.e. Lanny, to remove it from her so that the kings don't find out. It just so happens that Lanny's currently in King Cow to steal toilet paper, because his country ran out. Lanny takes his time humiliating Michaela and Mason in exchange for the ring's removal, and ultimately agrees to take it off on the basis that Michaela owes him a favor going forward. And this seemingly innocuous episode, a story so bare bones I have nothing to say about it really, will prove more important than I anticipated down the line.
The precious.
Wrong ring, weirdo.
The series' endgame formally begins with Season 3, Episode 19, Mysteries of King Cow. This is basically the equivalent of a comic book issue that makes a trillion retcons to tie together years of contradictory lore. Boz celebrates 1 year on the island, as the gang sits down to watch Candace's special, The Mysteries of King Cow, which is an entertainingly well-produced documentary treating the island like it's a real place.
The island of King Cow was formed mysteriously over 50,000 years ago by a string of undersea volcanoes. Geologists say deep beneath its surface is a massive deposit of precious gems. Years ago, Mount Spew erupted, scattering pieces of this gem onto the island. This is how Jiki Kiki's ruby and the sacred stones of the 5 tribes were created.
The 5 tribes and their diamonds are a concept only getting introduced now in episode number 65. I like the attempt to tie together all of the random cultures we've met throughout the show, with the Nanju, Dirt Fairies, Flangi, Yetis, and Tarantula people. This map seems to imply that the Flangi and Nanju live on the dark side, despite the fact that they visibly don't in the episodes they're from. Also, Michaela mentioned she went to school with Sabrina back in Crouching Brady Hidden Boomer, which sort of implies you can just join the Nanju tribe without being born into it. Do all the other tribes work that way? Because they all seem to be exclusively containing their races. The Flangi, the Squonks, the Yetis, they're a species, but they're also a tribe? If I were to fly to King Cow and say, hello, Squonks, can I be a Squonk? Would I be rejected for racial reasons? Or would I be able to identify as a Squonk and be accepted as one of their kind? Could a Nanju be non-human? Could a Yeti join the Nanju tribe? There's also a ton of one-off creatures. Atog the Giant, Pupile, and the Ogre, for instance. I question, are there more of these in the species? There theoretically should have to be if they exist in the first place. I won't get into it, but it's a when 2 Pupiles love each other very much sort of situation. I would assume they have parents, but they don't qualify as tribes, so I wonder how many of your kind have to exist before you're recognized as a tribe, or are there other factors? I was going to suggest maybe the people of King Cow discriminate against the ogres, but I can't really say that because this King Cowan map recognizes the Tarantula people as a tribe. They're mortal enemies. They could have just refused to recognize their validity, like a lot of countries in the real world do when they don't like other countries. This 4th to last episode raises so many questions with this one visual, and I'm incredibly entertained. The episode simultaneously treats this as a live broadcast and as if it was pre-recorded.
You know, Michaela and I did interviews for this.
We're live, Timothy.
We get to see the footage of the king's mother on an archaeology trip, where she uncovers part of the infamous Zadok wheel, as well as footage of her with the triplets.
I'm watching footage of my mother for the first time.
How is it possible that the knowledge of which king was born first was taken to the grave with her? We never knew the circumstances of their infancy until now. She's out here chilling with like 6-month-olds in the castle. She would have needed to be intentionally hiding that information at that point. In the present day, the rest of the wheel gets unearthed, and it prophesizes King Cow getting blasted into the sea.
The brother kings will stand or fall when Kai Ta wakes and seeks his vengeance at the end of this year.
We learn that the mummy we haven't seen since season 1 is actually an ancient warrior named Kaida the Bat Rider, and his restoration is said to be soon. The king rings are the only things that can defeat him, and if either king is not worthy, the rings used together will destroy them both. The chief elder complains about his wife's cooking.
Oh, that's not coffee cake. It's a makeup sponge.
It still tastes better than my wife's. That's right, better half. Take a cooking class.
Men will literally be a staff writer on Pair of Kings instead of going to therapy. Boz starts to fear that he's unworthy, in an interesting moment that tries to tie his presence into the series more meaningfully.
Okay, Mount Spew sent the ring to Brady, not me. And the Storm sent me to Mindu while you guys stayed together. Just feel like I'm the unworthy king.
When the kings practice using their rings in unison, it quickly goes haywire and they're barely able to escape destruction. Just then, Candace broadcasts live as archaeologists uncover an ancient tomb. Candace is swiftly sucked inside, and the kings race after her to save her. They find a massive stone statue of Kaida's bat, the Kungamato. They're told to destroy it with their king rings, but Boz is too afraid of messing up. While Boz is chased by terracotta warriors, Boomer uses his single king ring to destroy the statue. Both brothers emerge, and Candace is arrested for opening the tomb in her final appearance. But unbeknownst to the kings, Boomer didn't destroy the statue. He merely freed the Kungamato from its prison. In the next episode, Meet the Parent, Boomer and Boz focus their efforts on protecting the Bat Medallion after the incident in Kungamato's tomb.
You didn't carry these stones from the rock bottom quarry, did you?
Of course not. We made the village children do it.
Boomer receives a letter from Rebecca. Her father has found out about her hot air balloon trips to King Cow, which is a crazy thing for him to have not known about. And he decides that there can be no more of it. So Boomer, Boz, and Michaela set sail to Chicago to rizz him up over a family dinner and make him change his mind. Michaela says they can be there in 9 hours. Given it's said to be a 10,000-mile trip, that puts the balloon speed at 1,111 miles per hour. But there's bad news. Marianne, the woke tarantula girl, wants revenge. She's casually just inside the throne room. For some reason, she turns into a spider and sneaks aboard the balloon. They don't go to visit Boomer's aunt or uncle during this incredibly rare trip to Chicago. Also, is Brady back in Chicago? Because where the hell else would he have gone? At Rebecca's home, Mr. Dawson is not impressed.
That knick-knack was an antique. Chill, it'll be back in a second. Huh. Guess you got ripped off.
Chaos and antics ensue as a squad of tarantula people reveal themselves, and Marianne joins the family dinner.
What's going on?
Oh, well, can't you tell?
No.
Neither can I.
Me either. I have to admit, I'm a little lost myself.
A battle breaks out. We learn the real reason Mr. Dawson doesn't want his daughter visiting King Cow is because he's a former tarantula shaman who got sick of their evil ways and moved to Chicago. This means Rebecca has actually been part tarantula person all along, which these writers just pulled out of their ass. Something I appreciate about Lab Rats is that they clearly had a ton of the show's twists and turns planned out from the very beginning, with a lot of hints and clues dropped right out of the gate.
They are my brother's kids that I adopted when he died.
In this show, Rebecca has faced off with tarantula people in multiple episodes, and there wasn't so much as a hint. Marianne and the tarantula people are defeated, but Rebecca gets knocked unconscious in the fight. Mr. Dawson insists to Boomer that they need to use his special shaman amnesia powder to erase her memory of King Cow. and her relationship with Boomer in order to keep her out of further danger. Rebecca has no say in this conversation. It's up to Boomer and Boomer alone to decide whether or not this woman has to lose the last 3 years of memories. She cannot consent to this. She is unconscious, while her boyfriend makes this decision on her behalf. And the writers depict this as a heroic, noble choice Boomer is making. Hey, here's an idea. Explain to Rebecca that she's in danger on King Cow, now that she knows his roots, and maybe she could decide for herself, all right, Dad, I'll stay away from Boomer, knowing this information I didn't previously. Boomer's willing to end his relationship for her protection. You don't think she might be too if you just asked? Is Boomer that irresistible? Giving her amnesia while she's comatose is the only option here? In a sad, heroic sacrifice, Boomer agrees to leave the relationship behind. But that's not the only thing left behind. Boz reveals that he snatched the Bat Medallion from the vault and brought it to Chicago to keep it from falling into the wrong hands on King Cow. He leaves the Bat Medallion in a pillow in Rebecca's home, which she quickly finds. Also, Mr. Dawson reveals that Michael Jordan is a tarantula person. The end.
The 1 hour special event.
You might want to duck.
With the Kings of Legend on the run.
Oh no, Skyler!
And the forces of darkness closing in. I knew you'd come out and play! It's the last chance to save King Cow forever.
Ooh, Big Bad Mummy did a sit-up.
The most extreme episodes of all time, brand new back-to-back.
Welcome to the jungle!
The Pair of Kings Revenge of the Dark Side event. Next Monday night at 8, 7 Central on Disney XD.
Evil will never leave this island!
Now is time for the 2-part series finale of Pair of Kings, aptly titled Long Live the Kings. We open with Boomer devastated over Rebecca's demise, as the Chief Elder rushes in to inform the Kings that Kungamato has broken free to terrorize the island. I guess he was just waiting around until the season finale started before bursting out of that cave. The gang is relieved to know that the Bat Medallion's safe in Chicago, only for Rebecca to walk in wearing it.
Excuse me, I'm not sure where I am, but this thing dragged me here like a magnet.
How the fuck did she cross the ocean? Now, the Elder says something.
The mummy will soon come back to life and destroy us all.
Did you catch that? Something similar was also said back in the season 2 episode Do-Over.
That he was looking for the Bat Medallion so they could bring the mummy back to life.
When we last saw the mummy, he was still alive. Now he's dead again, and we never learned why or how this happened. As Michaela takes hold of the Bat Medallion to keep it safe, she's swiftly grabbed by the Kungamato and flown into the distance. With the island's doom imminent, the Chief Elder decides to abandon his post and become a taxi driver.
There's no taxis here.
No, but there are in Vegas.
We never see him again, and that's kind of a fantastic exit. Boomer encourages a confused Rebecca to board a balloon and fly back to Chicago. He casually sends her into the air with a giant bat monster terrorizing the skies. As a parting gift, he hands her the photo frame she gave him for his birthday. And suddenly, she remembers everything as her balloon lifts off. On Disney XD, a heroic sacrifice is more like a mild inconvenience that gets to be undone in the next episode. That was some very ineffective amnesia dust. As the Kings head out to rescue Michaela, Boz further grapples with his insecurities of being unworthy, and he's concerned he'll doom a second island, just like he doomed his first.
Not like your life's on videotape and all of your mistakes are rerun for the world to see.
The twins eat cotton moths to give themselves cotton mouth, so as to avoid accidentally spitting on the mummy, which is key to restoring him if you recall from 59 episodes ago. I like that they remembered this lore, but forgot the fact that the character was still alive. It's worth noting that this episode, unlike past finales and premieres, is cracking jokes at a really rapid fire rate. And none of them stand out. It's strange how nonchalant and underwhelming this grand finale is being presented. We watch the brothers fumble around with Cottonmouth for like 2 minutes, and the joke is they have an overbite. The fate of the entire island is on the line, and this is the level of comedy we're being presented with.
I mean, Bubble World sounds a little more family-friendly. I even came up with a jingle. Bubble World, it's safe.
With Michaela held hostage, the Tarantula people revive the mummy with the Bat Medallion. Landy shows up and attempts to pledge his undying loyalty, right in the sight of Michaela. The Kings interrupt the proceedings and a battle ensues. Unfortunately, Boz accidentally sneezes on the mummy and restores him to his true form. Kaida. who calls his great bat to ride upon, is Disney XD star Damian Poiter, the undisputed king of showing up for 2-episode arcs and then dying. He was also Thanos for like 12 seconds before he got replaced with Josh Brolin. Kata says, "Mwahaha, I'm gonna destroy the island," and he leaves. A time machine sure would come in handy right now. If only someone, such as Boomer, had one, as seen in Season 2, Episode 10 Do-Over. As everyone regroups, Michaela confronts Lanny and threatens to expose his treachery. However, he calls in his King Cow in favor to prevent her from doing so.
As soon as we get back to the castle, I'm gonna tell my dad and the kings, and then everyone will know how evil you are.
You owe me a sacred King Cow favor for taking the king ring off your toe, and I'm calling it in.
You can't.
Oh, yes, I can.
But I...
Shh. My evil is our secret. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going back to my castle to wash your cheap lip gloss off my finger.
And that's it? That's the full payoff to Michaela seeing Lanny be evil, and it's not mentioned again. He just says, "No, you can't tell anyone," and she's like, "Okay." The story thread was so pointless. Lanny trying to align with the tarantula people didn't even go anywhere. The idea of Michaela catching Lanny in the act wasn't just half-baked, it wasn't even in the oven yet. What was the point of any of this? Why have her catch him in the act if the resolution's so abrupt? Why weave this thread half a season ago if the payoff was gonna be so underwhelming? I am beyond confused by everything about this. About 90 seconds after he departed, Kaida casually shows up again just to taunt and remind them, "I'm gonna destroy the island." I don't know what he was doing in the air for 90 seconds. It accidentally creates the impression that he's just like really impulsive and he changed his mind and turned around to bully them again. This show's scripts feel like they were slapdashed together in an hour, and not even the finale is safe from that. As he resurrects hordes of the undead, Kaida says something very ominous.
"You imbecile kings will want to fight me eventually. You can't help yourselves. Like father, like sons."
Back at the castle, Mason uses the king rings to generate a massive force field that fends the zombies off, an ability we're only learning about now in episode number 68 out of 69. Boomer ponders Kaida's like father, like sons quip and demands to know the truth from Mason. It's here we learn that Mason and even Michaela have been keeping a secret this entire series.
Kaita is the one who took your father's life.
What?
During the Tarantula Wars, your father bravely took on Kaida and the Tarantula people alone. Unfortunately, he paid the ultimate price.
I just want to state, for the record, as a reminder, Michaela stated that the mummy was killed by a king hundreds of years ago in episode 9. But now, we're told that Kaida, pre-mummification, murdered Boomer and Boz's parents within the past 18 years. Also, multiple episodes tell us that the Mikula family has been tasked with protecting the kings for generations, and Michaela always has this chip on her shoulder to live up to her family name. Things seem a little different now, with that family name let the king get killed on their watch not even 2 decades ago. This show never acknowledges the fact that Kaida killing the king's parents means Mason failed his one job protecting the king, yet faces no career repercussions, continuing to operate in the same position. I love this show. They planned this shit out from day one.
I'm just glad all the good people of King Cow are inside the force field.
What did I ever do wrong?
Rebecca reveals she's stowed away on the castle's roof and she wants to help fight for King Cow as a warrior.
Look, my whole life I've been able to do some amazing things, like this.
None of this was ever mentioned before. I love this show. They planned this shit out from day one.
But this, I was born with.
Lanny returns to Lanada only to find his castle burnt to the ground. He's about to be eaten by zombies, but Catawampus saves his life. In the meantime, Michaela trains Rebecca for about 23 seconds and now she's battle ready as fuck.
I know what you're thinking, but I've been practicing.
No, I was thinking when your action figure comes out, I'm gonna be the first in line.
Due to Boz's continued self-doubt, Boomer storms off on his own to get revenge on Kaida. Suddenly, he's confronted by the ghost of his father, who materializes for the first time in the series.
Go get the person who means the most to you.
Rebecca!
I am talking about Boz.
Boz, who met Boomer a year ago, is the most important person to him, according to his father. Not the guy he grew up with for 17 years. Likewise, Boz is visited by the ghost of his mother, who encourages him to believe in himself.
Everything that's happened has happened for a reason. The storm that washed you away. Being raised in the jungle.
My strawberry blonde hair.
That I can't explain.
Earlier in the season, Boz looked at his parents and said it was like looking in a mirror. The writers can't keep a single detail consistent. Boz, with his newfound confidence, removes his king ring from the force field emitter and prepares to battle Kaida alongside his brother Boomer. The dark side surrounds the castle, which becomes the island's last hope. We don't see any civilians in the castle, so I guess that means all the citizens of King Cow are being mauled by zombies right now. But this is not about them. This is about our main characters, the royalty. Fuck the peasants. Boz summons the Razorhawk from the episode with Leo from Lab Rats, and the kings take off in the air. Per advice from their father's ghost, Boomer and Boz go to gather the 5 tribes and their gemstones, a concept introduced 3 episodes ago that the finale will hinge on. I watched this, and all I can think about is how much more satisfying this would feel if it were Boomer and Brady flying this thing. The original Razorhawk episode was about them being more responsible, and this would have been a better roundabout moment than it is with Boz flying this thing triumphantly despite having never seen it before. Kaida arrives aboard Kungamato, and our heroes engage in aerial combat. There are 5 minutes left in the show during this critical final action set piece, and they spend this time making a completely random reference to Top Gun.
The name's Maverick, and my 80s movie education tells me it works every time.
Boz is able to destroy Kungamato with the King Ring, and the dogfight descends towards the castle grounds. Rebecca, Mason, and Michaela play King Cow Tower defense against the encroaching zombies. Lanny's able to save the day with a cannon, inspired by Catawampus' bravery. The idea of a Lanny redemption arc wasn't introduced until literally right now. No breadcrumbs are set up in the rest of the season or show to even hint that Lanny's anything other than evil. This could have been more satisfying, I suppose. I love this show. They planned this shit out since day 1. Boomer, Boz, and Kaida arrive, and everyone takes turns fighting the villain one by one while armed guards stand and watch in the background. Suddenly, the cavalry arrives.
Fools! Did you think you could bring your little gems together and beat me?
That's what King Boomer said would happen.
Sorry, I took a shot.
It turns out that tarantula person representation is needed for this attack, which Boomer just made up on the spot to work. Rebecca grabs the jewel from the belly of Jiki Kiki, and with the combined might of 2 king rings and 5 tribe jewels, Kaida is defeated and flung into Mount Spew. All darkness on the island of King Cow disappears, and after 3 long seasons, the prophecy is fulfilled.
That was right from the start. Kings of Legend.
And then it just kind of ends.
Thank you for finding your way to King Cow.
I think this is hands down the weakest of the 3 finales. Things just haphazardly happen with no rhyme or reason. Massive story revelations come out of nowhere, and everything's bogged down by jokes that feel less funny than usual. Think about
living in my basement?
Who introduced its evil villain Douglas, and then did interesting things with him. There was a whole episode where he was stranded with one of the main kids, and we got to see more layers to him. Eventually, he starts to be redeemed, and every main cast member gets their own showcase story with him where they learn to forgive him, until he's basically a main character by the 4th season. It was a fun, logical, and engaging storyline with twists, turns, and character arcs. Compare that to Pair of Kings, where every plot point came out of nowhere, and every major villain had less charisma than Malekith from Thor the Dark World. And yet it is still 100 times better than Lab Rat's Elite Force. time to do a classic round of Where Are They Now? After Pair of Kings, Mitchel Musso largely disappeared from acting, although he's continued voicing Jeremy in various Phineas and Ferb projects over the years. He made a really exciting return to the spotlight, with multiple outstanding arrest warrants leading to his apprehension in 2023, where he was charged with public intoxication, theft, expired registration, failure to display a driver's license, and violating a promise to appear notice. Adam Hicks was arrested in 2018 after a string of armed robberies. He would approach random people walking in Burbank, California, and aim a gun at them.
The 25-year-old actor arrested for armed robbery, accused of using a handgun in 4 separate robberies in Burbank. SWAT team members swarming his home yesterday.
He was sentenced to 4 years in jail in 2020. But luckily for him, in LA, you can commit the most heinous, sadistic acts and all of your friends will be completely fine continuing to hang out with you and inviting you on their podcasts.
Navigating adulting, I mean, that's crazy. It kind of just, you got to take it one day at a time. I mean, you know, as far as me, I've kind of set up barriers in my life and try to get rid of the toxic people and do the best I can in that area. I've been on a little fitness journey.
I see
it. On a fitness journey.
I see it. Yeah, so what's the routine? What's the workout routine?
Bro, I just eat chicken and broccoli.
I want you to imagine a hypothetical scenario where this arrest happened while filming season 3, forcing the show to pivot and introduce a 4th king. Doc Shaw went on to appear in Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and he basically disappeared for a while, but as of 2020, he's returned to a leading role in House of Pain, a reboot of the series which jump-started his career in the first place. It's currently been running for 5 years strong, almost as long as the original run. Kelsey Asbill is the only one who went on to a super successful prestige acting career with her leading role in Yellowstone. All it took was changing her last name as a smokescreen. Gino Seegers also showed up in an episode of Yellowstone. And yet he didn't even interact with Michaela, which was a massive slap in the face to all of the countless Pair of Kings fans watching Yellowstone. He's continued to have a steady flow of gigs, and currently, he makes YouTube reaction videos on YouTube Shorts.
Tobacco companies kill their best customers, and condom companies kill their future customers.
I see what you did there. That's pretty good. I kind of like that. That's real good.
So true, Gino. Great reaction. Ryan Ochoa reprised his role as Chuck in the reboot of iCarly. And here's where things get interesting. In 2020, he wrote, directed, and produced a Pair of Kings short film titled Save the Island.
You have a couple of options to save the island.
Save the island.
It takes a very dour, serious tone. It picks up years after the end of the series and features a lot of the original cast. Lanny washes up on shore and travels the jungles to find home. Mason's comatose for some reason.
What are you waiting for? Come on, man, the island needs us! My island's gone.
Rip Lanada. Lots of terrible, dangerous things start going down. Hibachi and the Chief Elder show up.
Big Kahula's back! Wait till he gets a load of me!
And then the mummy gets resurrected. Did kind of become the mummy again. I'm glad the mummy is getting revived for a 3rd time. There's a lot of exciting possibilities here. And just as Lanny loses hope, a familiar face approaches him.
Okay, freeze. We totally look like superheroes right now.
That's fucking right, fam. It's Mitchel Musso. They made a really interesting artistic choice to film him from super, super far away, so it looks like it's a double. But no, I think this was actually Mitchel Musso. You just can't tell, but Brady's back. If the Chief Elder and Hibachi were reached out to, you have to assume an invitation was sent to Doc Shaw or Kelsey Asbill. I think it's really telling who wasn't in this. I'm sure Adam Hicks would have wanted to be in it, but he was in jail for armed robbery.
I've waited years for this moment, and we got the crew back together.
Without Doc, because Doc is so rude. My brother doesn't support me.
King Boomer, we love and miss you. The goal of Save the Island that I wrote and directed with Gino Seegers and my brother was to create a fan film with the original actors involved. That was the goal. And what we wanted to do was obviously, build the hype secretly, get the fans of the show super behind it, and then hopefully
the fans and maybe even somebody at Disney would see it and see the hype and see the love and see the need for Pair of Kings to come back. Obviously, that short film still to this day gets thousands of views a day. People love it. They want more of Save the Island still. You never know, maybe down the road there will be, but during a time of people staying at home, I felt like I had the resources to make something special, and people were doing Zoom calls. All the shows were making their, reunions online, and we felt like we could do something on a different scale. That's what we did with Save the Island.
To me, the idea of Pair of Kings returning feels a little bit absurd. It's a very obscure show, and on top of that, the story ended. The prophecy alluded to in episode 1 has been fulfilled by episode 69, so where would you realistically take the story from here, and what would be the point? 2 teenage troublemakers rule an island isn't gonna work when the characters are in their 30s. Despite this, I think it's likely that Save the Island did have a noticeable impact. When Disney Plus launched, all of its controversy shows were removed, and this included Pair of Kings. But this short film debuted in August of 2020 and generated a substantial amount of niche buzz and nostalgia for the series. With back-to-back-to-back comments such as, Pair of Kings the movie, I'm still waiting for Pair of Kings the movie, I'm still waiting for Pair of Kings the movie, I'm still waiting for Pair of Kings the movie, and I'm still waiting for Pair of Kings the movie. Are we sure these are real people? And 5 months later, in January 2021, Pair of Kings was added to Disney Plus. I think it's a likely scenario that Save the Island contributed to this, because I cannot imagine Disney Plus was strategically holding its heavy hitter IP, Pair of Kings, as a controlled release 2 years after launching the service.
I'm always talking about Pair of Kings in interviews and, everywhere I go. That show means so much to me, and still to this day, I am petitioning. I mean, I spent 2 years of my life working on that short film. Hopefully, for somebody to see it and know that how grateful I am for that show. I can say that I will cherish every single day on that set for the rest of my life, and obviously everybody involved who I'm still really good friends with to this day.
Pair of Kings is an easy D tier. Dull, uninspired, largely unfunny, openly misogynistic. Ryan Ochoa's clear passion for it makes me feel bad in this ranking. Nonetheless, I had a fun time throwing this together, and I hope I satisfied 3 years worth of begging in the comments. I pray that the wives of the Pair of Kings writers have been able to escape their loveless marriages. Hopefully by now they've had a chance to leave a note, hop on a hot air balloon, and fly the hell away forever. I'm letting you, the YouTube comment section, decide my next multi-hour retrospective. Should I cover Good Luck Charlie or Casey Undercover? I'm gonna use Control F to find the most commented ones, besties, so cast your votes below. Hydrogen Bomb or Coughing Baby? Bye!